Miami Gardens, Florida. We are 5 minutes away from the opening kickoff of tonight's National Championship game. The lights are off right now inside Hard Rock Stadium. We just had a stirring rendition of our national anthem from Jamal Roberts. The teams will be taking the field very shortly. Greg McElroy, national championship winning quarterback at the University of Alabama. Let's get your game plan for tonight, brought to us by LinkedIn. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/CFP. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, for Miami, Sean, it's very simple. Run the ball, stop the run. That's what they are. It's their bread and butter. It's their DNA. It starts with Mark Fletcher and the offensive line. I think it's the most physically imposing offensive line in college football, going against a highly disruptive Indiana defense. It's one of the top 2 in the country against the run. So if they can run the ball, that's massive. But they also need to stop Roman Hemby and Kalen Black, the outstanding 1-2 punch at running back for Indiana, with their front four. If they can do that and dedicate a lot of resources to the pass game, that should slow down what's been an offense that's been unstoppable so far this postseason.
A lot of talk about the makeup of the crowd tonight. You were on the field before the game. Indiana has traveled remarkably well. Of course, they're not used to following their football team around the country to major bowl games. The team's gathering in the tunnels now and moments away from taking the field. About 60-40 IU in the crowd?
I think so. Looking at most of the upper deck, red. Of course, helpful when one team is wearing red, the other wearing orange and green, but I do think it's a slight lean towards Indiana as far as crowd support, and they have a terrific team. For their key, stay the course. Just continue to be efficient offensively and defensively and fluster Carson Beck in this Miami offense.
They've been remarkably efficient on their way to the #1 ranking for the first time in school history. 15-0, the only undefeated team in the country, and the Hoosiers are taking the field from a tunnel just below us. For those who like to visualize as they listen to the game on radio, we are in the southwest corner of the end zone, the left end zone, if you look down at it from the television booth and the TV cameras, just behind the back line. So all of the field is to our right. And that's unique for Miami on their home field. Ordinarily, they're on the near sideline, but tonight they'll be on the far sideline from us, and they are now taking the field from a tunnel across the field to our left. Starting lineups are brought to us by Rain-X. Rain-X wipers know what it's like to have a loyal fan base. They're the #1 wipers in America. Next time you need wipers, choose Rain-X. When Indiana is on offense, it's Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, having a remarkable year. And Greg, to me, the most impressive thing of all the numbers in the 2 games in the college football playoff against Alabama and Oregon, 8 touchdown passes, 5 incomplete passes.
Video game numbers, Sean, and he has been so accurate on the downfield throws. That's what's been most remarkable about his efficiency. It's not like these are dink and dunk throws that are around the line of scrimmage. He pushes the ball down the field and gives this outstanding receiver core a chance.
Roman Hemby and Kalen Black will split time as the running backs. They've combined to rush for more than 2,000 yards. An excellent offensive line for IU. One of the 3 finalists for the Joe Moore Award is the best offensive line in the country, and a deep group of receivers. When Miami is on offense, it'll be Carson Beck playing in his final college football game in his 6th year, his first year at the University of Miami. Mark Fletcher, their running back, has emerged as a star. In their 3 wins in this college football playoff, he's rushed for 395 yards. Of course, Indiana outstanding on defense. They are 2nd in the nation in scoring defense at 11 points per game. Only Ohio State is better. Aiden Fisher is their All-American linebacker and leader of that unit. And when Miami is on defense, their stars are up front. The 2 All-American defensive ends, Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain, who will try to make life miserable for Fernando Mendoza tonight, something that very few teams have been able to do this season. Let's go down to the Indiana sideline. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons.
Sean, you mentioned that Miami offensive line. They are massive. They are athletic. And when I talk to Indiana linebacker Aiden Fisher. He said, we are so tired of hearing about how undersized we are against every other team we play. Ohio State, they were bigger than we are. Big Bad Bama, bigger. Oregon, bigger. And speaking of Oregon, I talked to their head coach Dan Lanning earlier today, and he said the most impressive thing about Indiana, how they make up for their lack of size up front, is how much they shift. And they put a hat in every gap, an extra hat. But if you're off by 1.5 feet, that gap, and you miss it, it's going to the house. And Indiana is so remarkably coached and so disciplined, they don't miss that 1.5 feet. And that's how they make up for that lack of size. But they're tired of hearing about it, and they're ready to show it again tonight at 15-0, chasing that national championship. Now over to Miami with Quint.
Miami's win in the Fiesta Bowl against Ole Miss came with a cost. Cornerback Xavier Lucas, targeting call in the second half. And the starting corner for Miami will have to sit out the first half of this game. You add to that, O.J. Frederick only played 7 snaps in that Fiesta Bowl. But I watched Frederick warm up. He's got a lower body injury. He'll play. The question is, how long can he play? The biggest question mark I have, though, Damari Brown, a starting corner early on in this season, he warmed up. He's been out. The coaching staff didn't even know. Last week, he made a decision at the last second not to play. Damari Brown's status right now is still very much in question, Sean.
And that is a big key. Will Fernando Mendoza be able to take advantage of the depleted Miami secondary, particularly in the first half, without Xavier Lucas? Indiana won the toss and deferred. So Miami will receive the opening kickoff. The Hoosiers are dressed in their crimson and cream uniform tops with white numbers, white pants, the crimson helmets with white stripes down the middle and the IU logo on the sides. Miami wearing what is typically their away uniforms, all white with green numbers on the front and back, outlined in orange and green stripes down the sides of their pants. The teams now taking their places out on the field. It'll be Indiana kicking off from our left to our right. There is virtually no breeze to speak of as this national championship game gets ready to begin. Indiana trying to win the first football title in school history. And Miami, it's 6th, its first since 2001. Brendan Franke will kick off. That's a big story. He's been out for the second half of the year with a groin injury. He's ordinarily a touchback kicker, bothered by a groin down the stretch, but this one is returnable from the goal line for Keelan Marion, running down the far sideline and taken down just shy of the 30-yard line. Time and temperature brought to us by Rain-X. The kickoff at 7:53, just a couple of minutes later than scheduled. Cool here in South Florida tonight. Comfortable 58 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Rain-X wipers know what it's like to have a loyal fan base. They're the #1 wipers in America. Next time you need wipers, choose Rain-X. So here comes Carson Beck and Miami. With the ball on the right hash mark, they start from their own 28-yard line. And they're going to open in the pistol, which has been a very good formation for them in this playoff, with Mark Fletcher, their leading rusher, lined up behind Beck. On first down out of the shotgun, the handoff to Fletcher running left, a powerful run. He's across the 35 and close to a first down. Knocked down at the 37-yard line by Amari Farrell and Jamari Sharp, a couple of defensive backs for Indiana. Gain of 9 on the first play of the game from scrimmage.
And a beautiful start for Miami's offense. The play that was designed to go to the right-hand side of the formation, bounces it all the way back, and Fletcher so difficult to bring down in the open field, get some yards after contact.
Fletcher over 1,000 yards rushing this season. 2nd down and 1. And now it's Beck out of the shotgun with Fletcher on his left hip. He fakes a handoff to Fletcher, throws it out wide to the right to Malachi Toney. And the freshman has the catch and runs out of bounds with a first down at the 43-yard line. That's the 100th catch of the season for Malachi Toney, adding to his Miami single-season record. And he's just 18 years old. He should be a senior in high school.
And John, we met with the Miami staff before the first game, and you remember they're like, we think he's going to be pretty good. We'll see. I think they might have undersold that one a bit. He's one of the best freshmen we've seen.
6-yard gain out of the gun. Beck hands it off to Fletcher, running right. He gets knocked down along the far numbers at the 45-yard line by the great D'Angelo Pons, who set the tone, the cornerback for Indiana, with a pick 6 on the first play of the game in their semifinal win against Oregon.
And even though he's undersized at just 5'9", 173 pounds, D'Angelo Pons will live into the boundary all game long, and he neutralizes whoever you put out there at wide receiver.
2nd and 8, ball on the right hash. Again, Beck out of the shotgun with Fletcher on his left hip. A tight formation, 3 receivers in a bunch to the left. Now Tony goes in motion to the right. Beck takes the snap, look right, looks left. Now he's flushed to his right, throws on the run, incomplete. Along the far sideline, looking for Malachi Tony. Nowhere to go right out of the gate as Beck took that snap.
And that's what Indiana does such a great job of. They show one look in the secondary and adjust at the last second. And that was Carson Beck showing some maturity. Don't force it into a tight window. Throw it away. Live to play 3rd down.
That's been a big key for Miami as they've won 7 in a row. Beck, during that 7-game winning streak, 15 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. In their 2 losses, he threw 6 interceptions combined against Louisville and SMU. 3rd down and 8. Shotgun snap to Beck. Quick pass over the middle, caught by Tony, but he is yanked down well short of the first down at the Miami 48-yard line, pulled down by Elijah Hardy, their outstanding linebacker, his 99th tackle of the year, and Miami's going to send the punt team on 4th down and 5 near midfield.
And that was a great play by Hardy. He is one-on-one against Malachi Tony, who lined up offset left of Beck, ran a little option route. They dropped him for a short gain.
So 2.5 minutes in, Dylan Joyce on the punt, the junior from Australia. Lined up on the right hash. He takes the snap, rolls a bit to his right, has a high punt that is fair caught by Jonathan Brady at the 5-yard line. So tough field position to start for Indiana. 47-yard punt. 12:16 to go, first quarter, no score. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Winner in Indiana history, back in his hometown of Miami. What is almost certainly his last game as a college football player. He is a redshirt junior. 3 years at Cal, one of them a redshirt year. This is his first year at Indiana. But he is most certainly going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. The Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis is here tonight to watch him. They open in the shotgun with the running back Roman Hemby on his right hip. Direct snap, a play fake, a throw out wide to the right, caught by Omar Cooper, who avoids a tackler at the 12-yard line and is taken out of bounds at the 15, very near a first down. Zechariah Poyser, a member of the secondary, credited with the stop, but they're going to give him just beyond the 15-yard line and a first down with a gain of 10.5, officially a pickup of 11.
And Indiana utilizes an RPO, quick hitch to the outside. Ethan O'Connor whiffs on the tackle, and Cooper does what he does, yards after catch.
Shotgun again for Mendoza. 3 receivers, 2 to the wide side of the field, the left. Hemby remains the running back. He takes a handoff, bounces outside to the right, and gets yanked down and thrown down by Jacoby Thomas, the safety, transferred from Tennessee. Threw him down. They're going to mark it at the 17-yard line for a gain of 2.
Indiana will mix tempos a little bit just to disengage the rhythm that Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor will play with. They'll go a little fast, they'll huddle, they'll try to mix it up to kind of disrupt that rhythm.
Pat Coogan is the center. He was the starting center for Notre Dame in the national championship game last year. The Irish lost to Ohio State. Shotgun snap, Mendoza in a crowd, dumps it off to the right, and good defense as Roman Hemby was shoved out of bounds by Mohamed Touré along the near sideline. They're going to mark it just beyond the 18-yard line, so a minimal gain. And here comes 3rd down and 8 for IU, the best 3rd down team in the country at 58.2%. That's 5 percentage points better than anybody else. They were 11 out of 14 on 3rd down in the win against Oregon in the last round. Out of the gun, Mendoza 4 receivers, 2 to each side. The wide side of the field's the left. High snap, Mendoza under pressure. Flush to his right, throws on the run and throws it away from the 5-yard line. Marquise Lightfoot, a backup defensive end, chased Mendoza out of the pocket. And it'll be a punt for Indiana after they picked up 1 first down on their opening possession.
And with all the attention that the Indiana offense will pay to Bain and Mesidor, don't forget about Lightfoot, who in obvious passing situations has a lot of juice. He's one-on-one with the running back. He blows him up and nearly makes the sack.
Mitch McCarthy on to punt for Indiana, 27-year-old Australian, standing at the 3-yard line. Malachi Toney back for the punt just inside the Miami 40. End over end punt fielded by Toney at his own 31. Heads right up between the hash marks. Crosses the 40. There's a flag thrown right as he was tackled near the 42-yard line. And that'll be the first penalty of the game. Michael Vandervelde is the referee. Congratulations to these officials, deemed to be among the very best in the country, and have the honor of working the title game. They're out of the Big 12. Vandervelde conferring with the side judge
during the
for the
return,
flag.
holding number 22 receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
And Bobby Pruitt called for the penalty. And that'll get us to a timeout. 10:22 to go in the first quarter. No score. Miami and Indiana playing for the national championship. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
10:22 to go. First quarter, no score. Each team's had it once, Greg, and each team's punted once.
And so far, it looked like early, those first couple snaps, we were going to see a heavy dose of Mark Fletcher. They got a little behind the sticks and off schedule. They need to continue to commit to running the football on first and second down if you're the Hurricanes. And then for Indiana, shore up the protection a little bit. Do not ever want a running back in one-on-one against an elite pass rusher. That's what forced the final incompletion. So they got to figure that out so they're not in unfavorable matchups in protection.
I think that was a good sign for Miami. A lot of pressure brought on Fernando Mendoza on that last third down play, flushed him from the pocket and forced the throwaway. So after the punt, Miami takes over at its own 23-yard line. The penalty on the return brings the ball back to the 23. They're on the left hash mark and huddling. Not every team in college football these days huddles, but these two generally do. They're both teams that like to win the time of possession battle. In Miami's win over Ole Miss in the scintillating Verbo Fiesta Bowl semifinal, the Canes had the ball for more than 41 minutes. It was a closer game than it might have been because of 10 Miami penalties. Penalties a problem, not for Indiana. On first down out of the shotgun, Beck takes the direct snap, hands it off to Fletcher, who runs to the right across the 25 out to the 27-yard line for a 4-yard rush. That's 3 carries and 15 yards now for Fletcher.
And that time out of shotgun, they started the game with Pistol. Pistol's been their friend in the postseason. This time working left to right and running behind the outstanding right tackle, Francis Maui Noah. When they can run it right, that's where they want to go, behind the All-American.
One of the great offensive linemen in the country. Won the Jacobs blocking trophy as the best in the ACC. Probably a top 10 pick. No score, under 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. Out of the shotgun again, this time the pistol, handoff to Fletcher. And he's stacked up after very little, perhaps a yard, as he tried the middle. Tyreek Tucker and Mario Landino, those outstanding defensive tackles in the middle of the 4-3 defense for Indiana.
And they're so athletic up front, and they play with tremendous strain. That time it looked like there was some room there immediately, and Mikhail Kamara crushes it down and forces it back into his teammate Landino to make the play for a short gain.
There's third down and 5. Out of the shotgun again, with Fletcher now on the right side of Beck. 3 receivers, 1 into the boundary to the right. Toney comes in motion from the left. Beck drops back to pass. A lot of time to throw. Throws into a crowd, and it's batted down incomplete just across the 40-yard line. Knocked down by Lewis Moore. They're trying to get it to Kalen Marion. Well played by Moore, who was a first-team All-Big Ten player this year with 6 interceptions.
And they tried to go with a bunch formation to the left, working Malachi Toney on an option route. He broke out. Carson Beck, I think, anticipated him breaking in. He gets off of it, gets all the way back, but it took way too long and Moore could close the window.
Dylan Joyce to punt for the second time. Jonathan Brady back deep for it. The transfer from Cal, where he's a teammate of Fernando Mendoza, now his teammate at IU. High punt, but not very deep. Fair catch signal made right along the numbers at the 30-yard line on the far side of the field. That's a 42-yard punt for Dylan Joyce. And Indiana will take the field on offense for the second time. Fernando Mendoza on the opening possession, 2 out of 3 for 12 yards. 73% completions. These are two of the most accurate quarterbacks in the country. Beck is actually just a fraction better than that at 73.3. They are second and third behind Julian Sayin of Ohio State.
And it was very clear on the first possession how much Mendoza's been told this week. You got to get the ball out. Got rid of it very quickly, knowing those defensive ends will come quickly.
Kalon Black, who's running back 1A in the game now, out of the shotgun. Mendoza from the left hash. Black's on his left hip. Mendoza takes the snap. He's forced again to his right. He's in trouble. Trying to get away from Mesidor. There's a flag down on the play for a hold. And Mendoza throws it away as he got very close to the near sideline. It was Reuben Bain who was putting the pressure on. It was Khalil Benson, the right tackle, who had a hold of him.
Benson will get flagged, but it was really Ahmad Moten working against the interior presence, whether it was Bray Lynch or Coogan. Couldn't tell if it was center or guard, but he crushed the guard.
Number 67, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
And Ahmad Moten just beat him immediately and forced so quickly for Mendoza to break the pocket contained to his right. There's nothing Benson could do. He had to grab a piece of the jersey or else his quarterback would have eaten some grass.
Reuben Bain with the pressure. ACC Defensive Player of the Year. So the hold on the right tackle brings the ball back to the 19-yard line. First down and 20. No score, 8:39 to go first quarter. A fake handoff. Mendoza out of the gun on target. Good run after the catch. Omar Cooper up the numbers near side across the 40 and has a first down. He bounced off a would-be tackler well short of the line to gain. And it was O.J. Frederic who made the tackle. And good news for Miami that Frederic is out there. As Quint reported earlier, he was a question mark.
And another great job by Fernando Mendoza executing the RPO. This time it's a slot slant. Cooper makes one guy miss, and there's plenty of yards there for him.
Damari Brown who missed another one of those injury questions. It's a 25-yard gain. IU out to the 44-yard line. Out of the pistol, the handoff to Kalon Black. Running off right guard. He's across the 45 and down just shy of the 50. Tackled by Mohamed Toure, the leading tackler for the Miami defense in his 7th year in college football. Missed 2 complete seasons due to ACL injuries. And he has been granted another year of eligibility. He could come back for year number 8. Midway through the quarter now. Indiana on the move. This drive started at their own 29-yard line. And some movement before the snap on the right end of the offensive line. But Fernando Mendoza is clapping. Perhaps they were drawn across.
Start, number 74. Offense.
No, they were not.
Penalty. Second down.
Bray Lynch, the right guard, who has started every game of the 2-year Kurt Cignetti era.
And they have actually had some issues, whether it at times at Oregon, the first time they played in Eugene, not being really comfortable going with silent count. So far, it's been silent count. The right guard looks back, and he tells the center when to snap it. And that time, the right side getting an early start.
The shotgun Mendoza on second down and 9. Kalon Black on his left hip. 2 receivers wide to the left. It's a throw to the left quickly. It is caught by Elijah Surratt, and he is forced out of bounds, but very near the first down marker on the far sideline at the 46. Shoved out by Ethan O'Connor, a cornerback. And it is a first down for Indiana by just a smidge.
And so far, these Miami corners are playing very, very soft. Don't want to give up the big play over the top. And Fernando Mendoza company, they'll take the hitch outside, and their strong wide receivers are very, very good. The strength with the stiff arm there gets some extra yardage.
Well, Mendoza picking up right where he left off in the first 2 games of this playoff. He's 4 out of 5. He claps his hands, takes a shotgun snap, hands it off to Roman Hemby up the middle and down at the 42-yard line. for a gain of 3. 6.5 to go in the first quarter. No score in this national championship game, as Miami and Indiana meet for just the 3rd time all time, and they haven't met since the 1960s. They each won once. Wesley Basank, one of their key linebackers, went off with an apparent upper body injury. Mendoza out of the gun has Roman Hemby on his right. Now he steps closer to the center to change the play. Hemby shifts to his left hip. 2 receivers wide to the right, 1 into the boundary to the left. That's Surratt. He looks at Surratt, now throws over the middle. Caught. Riley Nowakowski fighting for extra yardage inside the 35, still on his feet, and finally down at the 33-yard line with enough for the first down by a couple of yards.
Another quick decision by Mendoza. He looks to his left initially, thinking he's going to get a curl or a quick out route. Works back to Nowakowski, who's sitting down right over the ball at about 8 yards. Accurate throw and a quick decision by the quarterback.
Now 5 out of 6 in the first 2 games of this playoff. He was 31 for 36 against Alabama and Oregon. He's out of the gun again with Hemby on his left hip. And it's a fake to Hemby, and it's a throw to the far sideline, caught by Surratt right along the boundary. And he's out of bounds at the 28-yard line for a pickup of 5. And this is textbook Indiana offense.
Just clinical efficiency, and they'll take what you give them. If you're going to play very soft at corner and give up those underneath out route throws, hit route throws, Mendoza will throw it over and over again. But when you get greedy and press, he'll throw it over your head.
Now an empty backfield, 5 receivers as Mendoza goes out of the gun. 3 to the wide side right. He claps his hands a couple of times. He's blitzed immediately. Hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. He got hit in the back by the blitzing linebacker Mohamed Toure coming from his left. Mendoza never saw him, and the throw fluttered to the ground to the right.
And that is not something you see very often for Mendoza. He has great understanding of where he's picked up and who he has to throw off of. That time, Toure comes around the left side completely untouched, and Mendoza never reacts. He takes the big hit. He's fortunate didn't get sacked.
3rd down and 4. 4:51 to go in a scoreless first quarter. Indiana at the Miami 27 on the left hash. Black, the running back. Shotgun snap and a handoff to Black running left, powering inside the 20. And he has an Indiana first down. Jacoby Thomas took him down, but it's a 7-yard run. These 2 running backs, Hemby and Black, virtually the same guy. Built the same, about 6 feet tall, 210, and they run hard.
Yeah, they do. They finish every run. I think they're the most underrated part of this team. And how many teams are comfortable taking out the Heisman-winning quarterback's hands on 3rd and 5 to hand it to a back? Impressive stuff.
1st and 10. They're at the Miami 20, still on the left hash mark. Black remains the running back. Mendoza out of the gun, hands it to Black, running right. He trips up as he tried to get outside the right tackle. Got back inside the 20, but not for very much. Looked promising if he could have gotten away from Keontae Scott, the outstanding safety who tripped him up.
Yeah, it was a good tackle on the right side by Scott, but for whatever reason, Fernando Mendoza was a little slow to get up. I think he might have taken a hit by Jacoby Thomas. He did off the left side. Wow,
he was
big
carrying
collision.
out a run fake, and Jacoby Thomas said, "We're going to hit you if you want to do that." And Mendoza went to the ground. He seems to be fine. They're in the gun again. Ball right equidistant between the hash marks. He has Black on his right hip. And it is a designed quarterback draw for Mendoza following Black, and that didn't go very far. He's down just shy of the 15-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 6, and the clock's under 3:20 to go in a scoreless first quarter.
And this is the part of the field where you always need to be very mindful of Elijah Surratt. He's got 1 catch in the game. He's got a couple targets already. He's the guy they want to look at in the red zone, especially on 3rd down. He's great on fades, great on back shoulders. So find number 13. Looks like he's going to be lined up in the slot to the left-hand side.
Leads the country with 15 touchdown catches. They send 3 receivers to the left. Becker into the boundary to the right. The running back is Black. Mendoza out of the gun, claps his hands, takes the snap, throws it up for grabs for Becker in the end zone. And it is broken up and very nearly intercepted by O.J. Frederick. They put Becker into the boundary hoping for single coverage. He's a big body who can go up and get it, but that one was well defended by Frederick.
And probably one of the worst throws we've seen from Mendoza this playoff run. It's way inside, it's short, it's 6'4". You got to give Becker a chance. Instead he underthrows him and weaves it inside, and Frederick almost picked it.
So it'll be a field goal try for Niko Radicic on 4th down and 6. Very accurate kicker. This is a 34-yard attempt from just inside the right hash mark. Snap and hold are good, and the kick is good just inside the left upright. So a nice drive for IU. 12 plays, 55 yards. They had the ball for more than 6 minutes, and it ends with a Radicic field goal. Having a magnificent year. He's 17 out of 18. 2:42 to go in the first quarter. It's Indiana 3, Miami nothing. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Indiana first on the board. A 12-play drive ends with a Nico Radicic 34-yard field goal. Fernando Mendoza 4 out of 6 for 50 yards on the drive, and he came away from that possession with a bloody lip, which we think he suffered when he was carrying out that fake after he'd handed the ball off, and it was kind of an unnecessary fake. I mean, the ball was long gone, but it was Jacoby Thomas took advantage of the opportunity to give him a hit, and it bloodied him.
Yeah, it did, and he handed it to Black across the formation. He's just running right at Thomas for really no reason whatsoever. I mean, get out of the way. Instead, Thomas lights him up, and Kurt Signetti on the sideline, very frustrated. Felt like it was unnecessary, but in reality, even from a quarterback's perspective, it looked like he kind of brought it on himself.
Well, our Matt Austin, our refereeing expert, thinks it could have been targeting, and that's why Signetti was so upset with the officials during the media timeout. There's Brendan Frankie to kick off again. And this one is returnable as well for Marion from about the 2 on the far hash mark, running up toward the right numbers. And he is stacked up as he got to the 25-yard line. Well, Miami will take over with 2:36 to go in the first quarter. Here on a comfortable night in South Florida with Indiana leading 3-0. Let's check in on the Hoosiers sideline with Ian Fitzsimmons.
Sean, it literally is a bloody lip for Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback for Indiana. He did get rocked, and he waved off trainers. He has a towel that he's just dabbing his lip with, so it's nothing serious. Literally, McElroy, you probably had a million of them. It is a bloody lip. The quarterback for the Hoosiers is good to go. It may look nasty on TV, but being down here right now, he's good to go. Over to Miami with Quint.
Miami defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman spending a lot of time with his defensive backs during the stoppage. They've missed 2 tackles in the back end, which has led to some Indiana yards after catch. They seem to be picking on Ethan O'Connor, the corner. And I think the chess match going on right now is Miami's corners, when they're off and soft coverage, Indiana's just taking what's there. As that drive went into the red zone, Miami turned up the heat on the outside. They played press coverage in the red zone, and that seemed to be more effective. But keep your eyes, gentlemen, on the depth of the Miami corners.
And their depth in the secondary, Greg, could have been depleted had that been a targeting call against Jacoby Thomas, which Matt Austin thinks it should have been. And Kurt Signetti still pleading his case during this media timeout.
Yeah, understandable. And there's some protection elements, but it did look like you could have made a case that the contact was to the head or neck area. It did look like it might have been crown of the helmet, so I'm okay with it. In a game like this, the last thing you want is for a team that's already a little shorthanded to be impacted by a play that was really nonsensical. So I'm good with the no call, but I can understand why they might have thrown the penalty flag.
Greg's instant analysis is brought to us by SoFi. Get your money right. So Miami will take over with 2:36 to go in the first quarter. Trailing 3-0, led by Carson Beck. Another one of the fascinating stories of this college football season. 5 years at the University of Georgia, 1 as a redshirt, 2 backing up Stetson Bennett on Bulldog teams that won back-to-back national championships. Then 2 years as the starter. You would think 24-3 and an SEC title against Texas last year. He would have been highly regarded as he left, but it wasn't necessarily a happy parting. He was clearly beaten down at the end of last year, including the right elbow injury in that SEC win against Texas that required surgery. This time a year ago, he was recovering from that. But it's been a terrific year, bounce-back year for him at the University of Miami.
And he's played his best football of late. He's played really smart football in the playoffs, hasn't done anything unnecessary, has stepped up when asked, especially in that final 2-minute drive against Ole Miss. But he's really, since the SMU game, he's played at a remarkably high level for the Canes.
They were in must-win mode every game after that, and they've won 7 in a row. Beck is 37-5 as a starting quarterback, 13-2 this year in Miami. And as we said, 24-3 at Georgia. He's the winningest active FBS quarterback in the country. 24 years old, 6'4", 225 from Jacksonville. They break the huddle. They line up in the pistol with Beck in the shotgun and Fletcher right behind him. Now Fletcher moves to the right hip. Direct snap to Beck. He looks right to the far sideline. Throws. It is tipped and falls incomplete. Almost intercepted. It was intended for Alex Bauman, the tight end, and Elijah Hardy, the linebacker, dropped into coverage. Got a hand on it. We should note that they're playing without their leading receiving tight end is Miami, Elijah Lofton, who is out with an injury.
And very fortunate there. Beck a little bit aggressive. Did not see the defender dropping underneath, and that ball got tipped up and was nearly intercepted.
2nd and 10, 2.5 to go, first quarter. Out of the gun again, Carson Beck with Fletcher on his left. 3 receivers out to the left. Beck, a quick look to the right, and is batted down. Very well covered by D'Angelo Pons, who had the coverage on C.J. Daniels. This is a homecoming for Pons, the All-American corner. He's from Miami. He told our Molly McGrath the other day that he was a couple of years older than Malachi Toney, but they're in the same youth football program. He used to go early to his games and practices to watch Malachi Toney when Malachi was about 8 years old. So you knew then what a great player he was. Here's 3rd down and 10 from the right hash. Beck out of the gun. 3 receivers again to the left. And Fletcher on his right hip. Drops back. Flushed in the pocket and swung down. Back at the 20-yard line by the blitzing middle linebacker, Aiden Fisher. The All-American, one of the 13 transfers who came along with Kirk Cignetti and his staff from James Madison last year, who've had a huge part in the success of Indiana.
And that was a great blitz by Fisher. He's got the running back, Fletcher, in one-on-one, shakes him to his left, goes around to the right, and drops back for the sack.
Loss of 7, back to the 19-yard line. Here's another Dylan Joyce punt. Waiting for the snap at his own 5. He's under pressure, and it's a high pop-up toward the near sideline. That bounces at the 40, takes a great bounce for Miami, all the way inside the 30, and down near the near sideline at the 27-yard line by the long snapper, Adam Booker. So wound up as a 54-yard punt, but about 27 yards of that on the bounce.
Yeah, absolutely. And Miami offensively, they're going to look back at that last drive and say, guys, what are we doing? 3 straight passes, give up a sack. Do not want to get away from what's gotten you to this point. That's by feeding Mark Fletcher, trusting the offensive line, and staying out of obvious passing situations.
Well, Miami has run 11 plays, 5 runs, 6 passes. So here's Indiana from its own 27 on the right hash mark, going from left to right here in the first quarter. Mendoza out of the gun, hands it off to Hemby across the formation. He's dropped for loss, going from right to left, and he's taken down at the 21-yard line by the All-American Ruben Bain.
Such an impressive play. He's going against the tight end, Nowakowski, who tries to block down on him, but he swims him immediately. And Bain, who's known really more for his strength, wow, he showed off some speed there too, chasing down Hemby for the loss.
He just discarded Nowakowski. He's a pretty good blocking tight end. A loss of 6. Down to a minute 5 in the first quarter, 3-0 Indiana. Out of the gun again, Mendoza from the left hash with 2 receivers to the right. He hands it off straight ahead to Hemby, and he's gobbled up after a gain of 1 by Ahmad Moten. It's not just these defensive ends. Bain and Mesidor, they're pretty talented in the middle as well.
They really are. Moten has been outstanding so far in this game. Had 1 pressure that led to a hold, had another tackle for loss right there. He's very disruptive, and him working against Bray Lynch, the right guard, that's an advantage for Miami that they have to win.
Gain of 1, 3rd and 15. Indiana from its own 22 on the left hash mark, and just now breaking the huddle with 12 seconds on the play clock. Hemby's the running back. Mendoza out of the gun as usual. Hemby's to his left. Surratt into the boundary to the left. 3 receivers to the right. Widest is Becker. It's a screen pass. It's Hemby on the catch. Hemby cuts to the middle and gets taken down at the original line of scrimmage near the 27-yard line by Marquise Lightfoot. So they got 5 on the screen, but nowhere near the line to gain, and that's going to take us to the end of the first quarter on a 5-yard gain on the screen for Indiana. At the end of the first quarter, the score is Indiana 3 and Miami nothing. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
And on the ESPN app.
And it's coming away from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, about 16 miles north of downtown Miami. On a comfortable night with a temperature in the high 50s, no breeze, a crowd of more than 65,000 on hand. The most expensive ticket since 2009 in the college football championship game. That's as far back as that information goes. The average ticket price, more than $4,300. And plenty of people who wanted to pay it. Mitch McCarthy is on to punt for Indiana. Indiana leads 3-0 after a quarter. They outgained Miami 82-18 in the first 15 minutes. Miami punted 3 times. This is the second for McCarthy. 27-year-old punter, 4th oldest player in college football. End-over-end punt caught by Malachi Toney at the 29-yard line. He slips down along the near hash marks. Looks like he was down, but no whistle. Now he gets back up and runs to the left and crosses the 40 and out to the 41-yard line. Looked like he was down when he slipped along the near hash marks. And it wouldn't be surprising if the replay booth takes a look at that one.
Yeah, it was like a baseball slide. Does brace it with his left hand, but his backside does hit. So that ball will come back probably 7 or 8 yards at least when they take a look at it.
Such an electric player, Malachi Toney, with his first catch tonight, 100 for the year, just the 8th player in ACC history to catch 100 balls in a season.
The ball placed at the 31-yard line. The returner's knee was down. It's first down, Miami, 31-yard line.
Well done by the officials. Brad Van Vark is the replay official. So Miami will try to get something going. Just 18 yards of offense. At least you can give them credit for balance. 9 yards rushing and 9 passing.
I think balance is certainly what they're striving for, but they might be like a little higher numbers after 1 quarter of action.
Indiana's not trailed in this playoff. This is their 3rd game. It's the 4th for Miami. Indiana had a first-round bye as the #1 seed. Beck out of the gun. And he takes the snap, hands it off to Marty Brown. He's in for Fletcher now. And he gets very little. Ahead for a yard right along the near hash mark. Shannon Dawson is the offensive coordinator. They're going to go quickly now, a little bit of tempo. And they have 5 receivers, 3 into the boundary to Beck's right. Toney's in the slot left. A direct snap to Beck, looking left. Now checks it back to the right, on target, caught by C.J. Daniels. He's down just shy of the 39-yard line. About 2 short of the first down, 1.5 yards. Lewis Moore, another tackle. He started his career at Indiana, transferred to Ole Miss, and then Moore came back this year.
Another good decision there by Carson Beck. Wanted Malachi Toney to the field. It was well defended. He works all the way back, finds Daniels to make 3rd down more manageable.
3rd down and 2. They're on the right hash. They huddle. Now go quickly to the ball. Out of the shotgun. Brown, the running back. They hand it off to Brown. Off right guard. He didn't get there. Got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. And then driven back by the feisty Hoosier defense, led by Mikhail Kamara, the outstanding defensive end, for defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes. So another punt. Dylan Joyce might be getting leg weary. That is 4 straight 3-and-outs now for the Miami Hurricanes.
And that was all created by Mikhail Kamara, who's lined up as the defensive end outside the right tackle Maui Noah. But on the snap, he slides all the way back inside and makes the play between the right guard and center.
Joyce standing at his own 25-yard line. Jonathan Brady back deep for it. He rolls to the right and punts it, a high end-over-end kick, and a fair catch signaled and made at the 15-yard line near the near side numbers. 12:57 to go in the second quarter. It's Indiana 3, Miami nothing. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T
on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy in the broadcast booth. Ian Fitzsimmons, Quinn Kestenig on the sidelines. 12:57 to go in the second quarter, and Indiana leading 3-0. Fernando Mendoza's 7 out of 10. The 3 incomplete passes matching the total he threw against Oregon in the semifinal, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. He went 17 for 20. And it's one more incomplete pass than he had in the Rose Bowl against Alabama. He went 14 for 16. They're pressuring him tonight.
That's what's been the difference so far. Against Alabama and Oregon combined, just 11 pressures. Against Miami, through just one quarter and change, 4 pressures already. We know this Miami defensive line is outstanding, but they need to continue to stay upright along the offensive line. They cannot allow Fernando Mendoza to feel that heat, because it's clearly got a little bit of an impact on how efficient they're working offensively.
Teams to score first in this college football playoff are 9-1. The only exception, Oklahoma, in the first game of this playoff, raced off to a 17-0 lead against Alabama and lost in Norman. So Mendoza and the Hoosiers begin from their own 15. 1st and 10 to the left hash. A play fake out of the gun, or a throw to the near side to Elijah Surratt. A catch near the 25 and then up the boundary for a couple more. Finally taken out of bounds by O.J. Frederick, but it's good for an 11-yard gain and an Indiana first down. They're up to 93 yards of offense, with 55 of those on the 1 field goal drive.
But it's very clear what the defensive coordinator for Miami is wanting to do. He's saying to Indiana, hey, you can kill us, but it's going to be by 1,000 paper cuts. We'll give up the 5-yard play. We don't want to give up the 50-yard bomb. They've been very soft in coverage.
Out of the gun, Kalon Black, the running back, on the right hip of Mendoza. He fakes a handoff, throws it over the middle. It's batted down. Intended for Surratt along the near hash marks, and O.J. Frederick knocked it down. So Frederick, who was a question mark with a leg injury, played only 7 snaps against Ole Miss. He's been a factor so far.
Very much so. In that time, they don't go with the soft coverage on the outside. Frederick and company get up and press man. They run a slant, and he's in perfect phase to knock the ball down.
Some contact there. They've let him play. They've done that throughout this playoff. The fans have enjoyed it. 2nd down and 10 from the left hash. They're on their own 27. Shotgun snap, Mendoza. Quick throw to the right. Caught by Riley Nowakowski. Breaks a tackle and is still fighting near the 35-yard line. And finally taken down, gang tackled along the far sideline by Keontae Scott and Ethan O'Connor. Good for a 9-yard game. It looked like it was going to be very little. They had bodies around them on the catch.
And a great job by Nowakowski. Makes that first guy miss. It's just a short little hitch. Spins out of it and surges forward to make it 3rd and short.
3rd down and 2. 12 minutes to go in the half. 3-0 Indiana. Moving from right to left as we look down from the southwest corner of the end zone. They're on the right hash mark. Kalon Black is the running back. Tight formation with the strength to the left. Mendoza hands it off to Black, running straight ahead with power as usual, and he has the first down. Out to the 39. Ruben Bain, another tackle. 1st and 10 IU.
And it's not often when you see an offensive line get pushed back on the 3rd and short situation, they still convert. The defensive line for Miami looked like they won. They were reestablishing the last scrimmage, but Black too strong, just motoring through white jerseys for enough to gain.
Black, another of the transfers from James Madison along with Signetti. Now they're in the pistol with Hemby back behind Mendoza. Fernando hands it off to Hemby, running off left tackle. He gets banged down as he crossed the line of scrimmage. Pickup of 1 to the 40. Wesley Besaint made the tackle, senior linebacker from right here in Miami, out of Miami Central, which has players on both sides tonight.
And that was a really big tackle there by Besaint. There was a massive hole behind the left tackle on a stretch to the left, and if Besaint doesn't make that play, Hemby's still running.
On the gun, Mendoza on 2nd and 9. Indiana leading 3-0. Hemby, the running back, on his right hip. Surratt goes in motion to the right, now comes back to the left. Lead block for Hemby, who's down as he got to the 43-yard line along the near hash mark. Another stop for Jacoby Thomas. Neither team doing much running the ball. That's 28 rushing yards for Indiana on 11 attempts, and Miami's rushed for just 10. They go with tempo on 3rd down and 6. Shotgun snap to Mendoza. Back shoulder throw to Surratt. Batted down, but a penalty coming against O.J. Frederick, who had a handful of Surratt at the 43-yard line of Miami. No surprise with a back shoulder throw. Almost all of Surratt's catches are, and it's a beautifully thrown throw time after time by Mendoza.
Defense, spot foul, automatic, first down.
Miami fans booing. There's a lot of grabbing there.
A lot of contact, and They tried to get Miami in a substitution. They were getting all their fast bodies on for the obvious patch situation. They go with the quick back shoulder. Frederic was in decent position, but grabbed way too much jersey with the right hand.
The ball goes to the 46-yard line of Miami. 1st and 10, Indiana. Leading 3-0. 10 minutes to go in the half. Out of the shotgun, a handoff to Hemby. He's in trouble and wrestled down behind the line of scrimmage as he tried to run to the right. He got taken down by Ahmad Moten again. The redshirt junior from Fort Lauderdale. Mammoth figure in the middle of that defense at 6'3", 300.
And Moten is having himself a night right now. This time working against the center, Coogan. Coogan falls down.
He tackled him with one hand.
He just swam Coogan immediately and was in the backfield before the back knew what to do.
He reached down, grabbed Hamby with one hand and yanked him down with an extended arm. Cooper lined up in the backfield. He went in motion to the right. It's a shotgun handoff to Hemby. Running to the left and tackled again by Reuben Bain. Not much there for Hemby. The transfer from Maryland. Spent 4 years there, and he's now in his first year in Indiana. He had a 1,000-yard season for the Hoosiers.
And this has been such an unfamiliar spot for Indiana. Coming into today, #1 third down offense in the country, but it's so rare when they're in 3rd and long. They average just about 3rd and 5 to go. It's better than anybody in the college football world. So they've been playing behind the sticks a little bit because of this relentless pass rush.
And Kurt Cignetti's going to use a timeout on 3rd down and 12. With 9:08 remaining in the second quarter. It's Indiana 3 and Miami nothing. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy in the booth. Ian Fitzsimmons, Quinn Kesnick on the sideline. 9:08 to go. Second quarter, Indiana leading 3-0. Perhaps surprising, Greg, given how surgically Indiana's played on offense so far in this playoff. And they beat Alabama 38-3 and Oregon 56-22. But then again, these are two of the top 5 teams in the country in scoring defense.
Yeah, and it's the defenses right now are winning the day. I mean, Indiana's defense going against arguably the best offensive line in football. They're getting in the backfield and making plays behind the line of scrimmage. And then Miami's defense, their front, we talked a lot about Bain and Mesidor, but it's been Moten that's been outstanding. Lightfoot's gotten involved as well, and these linebackers are delivering some big shots. It's been a very physical first 15-20 minutes of this football game.
So out of the Indiana timeout, they have 3rd down and 13. They're at the Miami 48 with the 9th play of this drive. As you said, unusual to have 3rd and long. One of the reasons they're the best in the country on 3rd down. It's usually not 12 yards to go. Some flinching along the line, no flags down. Mendoza, Kennedy throws, and it's a high throw down the middle, intended for Omar Cooper. There is a flag down now on the far sideline. There was a lot of moving before the snap. Reuben Bain put the hit on Mendoza, who's been knocked around here in the
Offside.
first half.
Number 4, defense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
But it was Bain who was offside. Yeah, that's been a problem for Miami all year. One of the most heavily penalized teams in the country.
And good utilization there by Coogan, the veteran, and Mendoza going with a slight delay on the snap, which got Bain into the neutral zone, give him a free play, and if you don't get the free play, at least you got 3rd down a little more manageable.
3rd down and 7. They're at the 43 of Miami. Mendoza goes out of the gun again with Kalon Black, the running back, on his right. Cooper went in motion to the left. Handoff straight up the middle in a big hole. Black still on his feet across the 30 and down inside the 25-yard line. They went to a quick hitter on 3rd down and 7. He had an enormous hole. And he's marked down at the 23, tackled by Bryce Fitzgerald, the freshman.
And that's now twice on 3rd and medium they've gotten in a run game.
20-yard gain. Mendoza play fake out of the gun, swings it out wide to the right to Cooper, and a good open field tackle near the boundary by Zechariah Poyser to stop that for a 3-yard gain.
And going back to the 3rd and 7 conversion, Miami just with 5 guys along the line of scrimmage. There was no second-level defenders. They were showing like a blitz, and they were able to engage quickly and spring the back into the open field. They'll always take what you give them.
They're on the right hash mark, trying to build on a 3-0 lead. The Hoosiers on the move. 11th play of the drive. They've moved 65 yards so far. Mendoza out of the gun, tight formation. Black the running back. He fakes to him, throws to the far sideline. Caught for a first down. Charlie Becker fighting toward the end zone. Touchdown! Becker caught it near the 5-yard line and just powered his way along the far sideline to get to the pylon for an Indiana touchdown on a 20-yard play. Charlie Becker has had a touchdown reception now in all 3 games. This one's going to come back. He stepped out of bounds at the 6-yard line. They're showing the replay on television. He was clearly out of bounds at the 6. And the replay booth is going to stop this. His right foot, as he had Thomas draped on him, stepped on the sideline. And now the officials stop it.
The touchdown is under further review.
And it won't take long for the replay booth. He was clearly out of bounds at the 6.
And another quick hitting throw from Indiana's offense to the wide receivers, working against very soft coverage by the corner. Becker, you thought, was just going to go right out of bounds. Instead, he turns back inside, and he's the speedster. He's not the guy you're thinking is going to be mowing through tackles. He nearly finds the end zone.
And now some of the Miami defenders a little bit animated in conversation on the sideline. Some of the coaches are stepping in to calm them down, including Corey Heatherman, who has done a fantastic job in his first year at Miami. Cut the points per game just about in half. They gave up 25 points per game last year. They had the #1 offense in the country, but did not make the playoff. He's cut that number down to 14 points per game. He's a former Kurt Signetti defensive coordinator, James Madison.
After review, the runner stepped out at the 5.5-yard line. It's 1st and goal.
I would say he stepped out really right on the 6, but just about on the hash mark. And that's where they're going to put it, just inside the 6-yard line. What a revelation. Becker's been a sophomore from Nashville, had only 4 catches in the first 7 games of the year. Got a chance at Penn State with Surratt injured, had a big game, a 100-yard receiving game. He's now had 3 100-yard receiving games in the last 6.
You could make the case, Sean, that he's the guy that's made this offense in many ways unstoppable. The 2 guys, Cooper and Surratt, are amazing, but adding a 3rd weapon is impossible to defend.
It was a 15-yard gain officially. 1st and goal, Indiana at the Miami 5 on the far hash mark to right. Black, the running back, on the left hip. They bring Becker in motion to the left. It's a handoff to Black off the right hash mark. And he is stacked up at the line of scrimmage, still fighting. And they will mark it now just inside the 5. And it'll be 2nd down and goal. Indiana leading 3-0. The 13th play of the drive upcoming.
This is a really big sequence for Miami. They got a new lease on life once Becker stepped out of bounds, but they're still probably kicking themselves for that offsides that they would have been off the field on 3rd and 12.
They bring Holden Stays, an extra tight end, into the game, and they huddle. And now break the huddle with Kalon Black, the running back. Becker tight to the right. The strength of the formation is the left, out of the gun. Mendoza claps his hands, takes the snap, hands it off to Black, and he's swung down at the 1-yard line as he ran off left guard. It'll be 3rd down and goal just outside the 1. Credit Ruben Bain with another tackle.
And now Indiana bringing 2 extra offensive linemen onto the field. It's their heavy personnel, and that's how they're going to try to motor their way into the end zone.
Both teams are substituting. Miami bringing some big bodies in. They need to be given time to complete the substitution since Indiana did. Mendoza's going under center.
Miami has called their first charge timeout of the half.
Because they had 12 men on the field. You mentioned they were substituting, and they didn't execute it cleanly. They were going to line up in the eye behind Mendoza with a timeout called. 6:17 to go. A big 3rd down and goal play upcoming when we come back. We're in the 2nd quarter. 3-0. Indiana leading Miami in the College Football Playoff National Championship. Presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
A 6,000-ton heavyweight train?
Jim, this guy has no idea what he's getting himself into.
It's no contest. Every day, people tempt fate and die trespassing on railroad tracks. See tracks, think train.
This is the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. Quint Kestenig and Ian Fitzsimmons are on the sideline. 6:17 to go in the second quarter. Indiana leading 3-0. And looking at third down and goal at the 1 yard line. This will be the 14th play of the drive for Indiana. Miami has run 14 offensive plays in this game to 31 for Indiana. IU's had the ball for more than 16.5 minutes. They have big bodies, extra offensive linemen as they come from the sideline to the huddle. They have Mendoza going under center in the I formation with Nowakowski, the fullback, in front of Black. They give it to Nowakowski, and he powers in for a touchdown. Out of the I with Nowakowski, ordinarily a tight end. It's an Indiana touchdown, the first touchdown of this game with 6:13 to go in the first half. 14 plays, 85 yards in 6 minutes and 44 seconds.
And what a physically impressive drive there from Indiana. Leaning on the run game, allowing the backs to get going, and then bringing in the extra offensive lineman, handing it to Nowakowski, now tight end. Former fullback, Sean, punches it in for 6.
Here is Nico Radicic for the extra point. And it is good. He's never missed one. He's made all 156 in his career. Well, Nowakowski has now carried the ball 2 times this season, each of them for a 1 yard touchdown. He had a big catch and run earlier in the drive as well. So 6:13 to go. It's 10-0 Indiana. Mendoza is 11 for 15 for 104. Black is the leading rusher in the game, 7 carries for 43 yards. Averaging just over 6 per carry. Cooper and Surratt with 3 catches each, and Nowakowski has 2. And now the onus on Miami to find some offense.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, with just 14 plays of snap exposure against Indiana's defense. Indiana's defense super talented, not outrageously deep. So the blueprint that Indiana's utilizing, where fatigue could become a factor in the third and fourth quarter, that's usually how Miami operates. So it's been a great start for the Hoosiers.
Kurt Cignetti in his second year at Indiana, he's 26-2. That's a winning percentage of right around 93%. Indiana all-time had won 42% of its games before he got there. They were the losingest team in college football. Here's the kickoff by Brendan Franke. It'll be a touchback over the head of Keelan Marion near the near numbers. So just 14 plays on offense for Miami, just 26 yards of offense. Carson Beck's 3 out of 7 for 16 yards. Fletcher 4 carries for 16 yards.
And a lot of the stuff that Miami's tried to do is right up the middle. They've had a hard time blocking this very athletic defensive line, so maybe they need to look at getting to the perimeter a little more as opposed to right down the middle.
From the 25 on the left hash mark, out of the pistol with Mark Fletcher behind Beck. Tight formation. Tony at the end of the line to the right. It's a handoff to Fletcher running right and powering his way out near the 30. He is a powerful running back. Junior from here in South Florida. Grew up about dreaming about being a Miami Hurricane. He's from Fort Lauderdale. And he got 5 on that carry.
And that's kind of the bread and butter recipe for Miami moving forward. Run behind that right side of the offensive line. Get everybody engaged. Get those tight splits to not allow the leakage from the defensive line.
Fletcher hollering at some of the Indiana defenders, and some of his teammates dragged him back to the huddle. Fletcher's had a great playoff, a career-high 172 in their first-round win at A&M. 90 yards rushing against Ohio State. Was the Cotton Bowl MVP, and then he had 133 yards rushing against Ole Miss. 2nd and 5 out of the gun. Beck with Fletcher on his left side, and it's a handoff again. Running right, Fletcher tripped up where he had some running room. It was Isaiah Jones who tripped him up. And he fell forward to the 29, but if Jones didn't get a piece of his leg, that was going a lot longer. It'll be 3rd down and 1.
Almost the exact same play as the play before, and lucky didn't get away with the tripping there.
Yeah, he literally did trip him up. He kind of leg whipped him. Surprised there wasn't a flag down. As Jones was on the ground, swung his legs around and tripped him. Out of the pistol again. Beck hands it off to Fletcher, off left guard, and he did not get there. Needed the 35. Stopped at the 34. Mikhail Kamar and Tyreek Tucker made the tackle. Now if you're Mario Cristobal and you pride yourself on physicality, you go for it here and try to change the narrative in this game.
And that's now twice on 3rd and short where they've gotten stopped because of the movement and athleticism up front. I like going for it here. At this point, your defense has already had to face a ton of snaps. I'm great with it. Looks like they're bringing extra offensive linemen in to kind of beef up that front.
They're 0 for 5 on 3rd down. They've converted on their last 5 on 4th down. First try tonight. The handoff out of the eye to Fletcher running left. And he is very close to the 35-yard line. Looks like he has it. The official running in from the near side is marking the ball on the 35-yard line, we think. The official on the far sideline, yes it is, just by the nose of the football. They did have big bodies in there, and they lined up the backup center. S.J. Alofaituli as the fullback. Ordinarily wears number 65, but he's wearing number 83 when he comes in as ineligible. They just did convert on 4th down. Now down to 3:15 in the half. 10-0 Indiana. Beck on 1st down from the left hash mark. Throws deep down the middle and has a man along the far numbers. It is C.J. Daniels inside the Indiana 40 and knocked out of bounds right there by D'Angelo Pons. He was wide open near the far numbers.
And a very similar formation that they ran that 1st and 2nd down play out of. Bunch, 3 receivers to the right. They show that inside run. Instead, it's play action. Daniel gets behind the defense and a nice throw by Beck.
Beautifully layered. He has great touch. Marty Brown's in at running back. That's a 25-yard gain down to 2:52 and the clock running in the half. Each team with 2 timeouts. 1st and 10 Miami at the IU 40 on the left hash mark. Tony in motion to the left. Quick snap to Beck out of the gun. He throws it to Tony. He runs up the far numbers and gets buried after a short gain. Half of his catches are basically screen passes. Half of the 100+. Elijah Hardy made the stop for Indiana. The clock is running, and neither team inclined to stop it. Looks like Beck and Miami might let it go all the way down to the 2-minute warning if they so choose.
And that quick screen pass, a little tunnel screen to the left with the offensive lineman break out inside. Tony scored on that play against Ole Miss, and that was the first time we've seen it against an aggressive group. I'd expect to see it again.
2:03, 2:02. They do line up out of the gun. They don't snap it before the 2-minute stoppage. That probably makes sense. They don't want to leave Indiana with any time at the end of the half. They have plenty of time, Miami, inside the 40 and with 2 timeouts left. Let's check in on the IU sideline with Ian Fitzsimmons.
When I was talking to defensive coordinator Brian Haynes, Sean, earlier this week, he said every offense has issues. Every offense has a weakness, and it's my job to try and exploit it, whether it's movement, violence, angles, whether it's stunts, twists, different fronts, stemming blitzes that come from different angles. Every offense, every single system has holes, and it's my job to find a way to exploit them. And that's how Indiana's defense, with their lack of size up front, finds ways to continue to compete against every single offensive front that is bigger and supposedly nastier than they are. But they find ways, and right now they're pitching a shutout again against a bigger offensive front. Now over to the latest with Miami with Quinn.
Yeah, during that last changeover, Miami defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman brings the entire defense together. Ahmad Moten was going after some of the guys in the secondary. I think it was just a moment where the defensive coordinator just wanted to step in and say, hey guys, we're okay. He says, you know, this is about us. Block out the outside noise and just continue to execute what we're doing. My question to you, Greg, would be the soft coverage plus missed tackles is not a great recipe for defensive success.
Especially now with the run game for Indiana starting to get going as well. If you're going to continue to attribute all the resources to stopping the pass, which I don't blame them, especially knowing how short-handed they are in the secondary, they're trying to protect those young corners. They don't want to give up the big play, make them snap it. As a result, the run game's been open. 2 critical third downs, 1 3rd and 4, 1 3rd and 7 that were converted just by handing it off right up the middle. So with Lucas returning in the second half, I would anticipate a much more aggressive Miami approach in quarters 3 and 4.
Miami has been held to 63 yards of offense. Indiana has 151. But Miami on the move. With the 7th play of this possession upcoming, they've advanced to 37 yards so far. When play resumes after the 2-minute stoppage, it'll be 2nd down and 8 for the Canes at the Indiana 38-yard line, trying to win the 6th national championship in Miami history. Their first since 2001, all 5 of those in a span between 1983 and 2001. Indiana's trying to win the national title in football for the 3rd straight year for the Big Ten. 2 years ago, Michigan. Last year, Ohio State. The Big Ten hasn't won 3 straight national titles in football since the first 3 years of the 1940s, when Minnesota won back-to-back national titles, and then Ohio State in 1942.
It's impressive to see the depth that the Big Ten has put on display at the highest levels of the sport, but nothing compares to what we've seen with Indiana's breakthrough. The level of efficiency and play is remarkable.
And no weaknesses.
None.
You know, the offense has gotten a lot of attention in this playoff so far with the 94 points in the first 2 games. But the defense is outstanding. They're rock solid at special teams, immaculately coached. So here comes Miami now. They break the huddle quickly. Tight formation, the strength to the right, out of the gun, backhands it off to Fletcher, running left, and he didn't get much. Got upended by D'Angelo Pons, the cornerback, playing close to the line of scrimmage. No gain, in fact. It'll be 3rd down and 8. And they're right on the fringe of field goal range if they elect for that option with Carter Davis, who has a big leg.
And Carson Beck needs to be very mindful of that, too. Any sack in this situation on the 38-yard line could result in taking points off the board, so the ball has to come out for the quarterback.
Minute and a half to go. They break the huddle with 2 receivers in the boundary left. Now Tony goes in motion. They fake a jet sweep to him. It's a quick screen to the left to Keelan Marion. And he's down along the far numbers at the 32-yard line. And that is a couple of yards short of the first down. So another decision for Mario Cristobal. And on 4th down, they converted on 4th down and a yard earlier. He's talking to his assistant coaches. This is 4th down and 2. They are in field goal range with the offense is on the field. We're under a minute to go in the first half. Indiana leading 10-0. And they're sort of huddling. Most of the offensive players just looking to the sideline. I think Mario's going to let the play clock run all the way down and then call a timeout.
I would go up there and at least try to get him to jump offside. Indiana's the 2nd least penalized team in the country, but you might as well try, see if you can't get a free first down. But you're going to let it go all the way down either way.
Their 2nd charge timeout for the half, 30 seconds.
They do let it run all the way down. What would you do here? Well, it looks like they're going to send Davis onto the field, so he just wanted to leave as little time as possible for Indiana here at the end of the half, and they'll send Carter Davis out to try the field goal. You agree with that?
Totally. I think you have to stop the bleeding. You need to go into the half feeling good about what you just did offensively. For the first time really all game, you were able to kind of impose your will along the line of scrimmage. And I think just making it a 1-score game, regrouping on defense in the second half, this is absolutely the right call.
So here's Davis, who's had a terrific first year at Miami. He's a transfer from FAU just up the road, but he struggled a bit lately. This will be a 50-yard try from just inside the left hash mark. No breeze. It's a natural grass field. Dylan Joyce, the punter's the holder. Snap and hold are good, and that kick is no good. It grazed the right upright and winds up wide. So Davis is now 17 for 24 in field goals this year, but 5 of the 7 misses have come in this college football playoff. You could understand 1 for 4 at Texas A&M on a breezy day, but that slump is now carried over throughout this playoff.
And it looked like it was well struck. It just kept drifting ever so slightly to the right. I thought it was going to drift right in the middle. Instead, it drifts and cuts up against the right upright, and big disappointment on the Miami sideline.
A chance to make it a one-score game going into the locker room. Now it's still 10-0 in favor of Indiana. He's now 3 for 8 in the playoff. Carter Davis out of the pistol. It's Mendoza handing it off to Roman Hemby straight ahead. Out to the 38-yard line. Zechariah Poyser made the tackle with help from Mohamed Toure. Indiana trying to decide if it wants to try to advance the ball and getting scoring position or not. Hoosiers do have 2 timeouts, but the game clock's down to 10.5. Mendoza, another shotgun snap, throws to the far side, and it is caught by Becker just shy of midfield with Frederic there, but we're down to 3 seconds to go in the half. And Curt Cignetti wants a timeout. Now they're positioned for a Hail Mary if they so choose. 12-yard completion to Becker.
Little surprised that Indiana wouldn't go with a little more tempo and urgency. The long field goal kicker now, who knows at this point if he's close to 100%, at 100%. Kickoffs have looked pretty good, but Frankie hit a 58-yarder at the end of the Oregon game, or the end of the half against Oregon. So he's good from way deep, but coming back from injury, who knows if he has that type of distance tonight.
3 seconds to go. There's the 50-yard line, Ian.
Down, look, Curt Cignetti told me, Sean, when it comes to Frankie on a long field goal, he's confident in these conditions from 63 yards, but they're a long way from 63.
Well, it'll be about 67 from here. He has a huge leg. He could be an X factor here tonight. He's 24 years old. He has bounced around all over college football. Morningside College, Nebraska for 2 years, Georgia Southern, Texas State last year, and now Indiana. He has attempted 3 field goals in all that time. The only one he made was that 58-yarder, the stadium record at Autzen Stadium in their big win against Oregon in the regular season. So perhaps a Hail Mary. Miami has 3 defenders very deep back inside the 15-yard line. 3 receivers into the boundary to the right. Shotgun snap to Mendoza. Pressured from his right. Throws it deep toward the end zone looking for Becker. And it is batted away right at the pylon at the front of the end zone, far side, knocked down by Jacoby Thomas. And that's the end of the half. The half controlled by Indiana. They outgained Miami 169-69. They had the ball for 17 minutes and 11 seconds. Mendoza 12 out of 17 for 116. The ball was very nearly intercepted by Jacoby Thomas, but he was out of bounds at the pylon. So at the end of the first half, the score is Indiana 10 and Miami nothing. Now here's Mark Kestisher in the studio with our halftime report.
All right, Sean, thank you very much. Miami, remember earlier in the college football playoff, round 1, they were shut out the first half at Texas. Neither team was able to score that day, and since the BCS debuted in the 1998 season, Miami now just the 6th team to have been shut out in the first half of a BCS CFP championship game. Meanwhile, for the Indiana Hoosiers, Mendoza, 12 of 17, 116 yards. They have a field goal. Indiana has a touchdown, and they have a 10-0 lead over Miami at the half. Coming up, Kelly Stauffer will join us from Miami to break down this first half. This is the
by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
College Football Live halftime report from our All-State studios. Mark Kestisher, Kelly Stauffer with you. 10-0. Indiana with the lead over Miami. We are at the half in Miami Gardens where Kelly Stauffer rejoins me. Kelly, before we kind of micro through this first half, just your initial first half thoughts here on this very physical first half and the Hoosiers with a 10-point lead.
Well, and I think that's the point, Kesty. It was a violent first half, and you could kind of feel it up here in the booth. And so I think the defense on both sides of the ball were ready. They're physical. I think they defended the tackle box really well, but it was a violent first half.
Yeah, it was. And Miami punted on its first 2 possessions. Indiana punted away its first. And then the Hoosiers started their second offensive drive from their own 29-yard line. And Miami was getting a number of hits against Fernando Mendoza.
Now an empty backfield, 5 receivers as Mendoza goes out of the gun. 3 to the wide side right. He claps his hands a couple of times. He's blitzed immediately. Hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. He got hit in the back by the blitzing linebacker Mohamed Toure coming from his left. Mendoza never saw him. And the throw fluttered to the ground to the right.
Later in that drive, there was also a handoff Mendoza, and he kind of lurched toward his left on the fake, got hit by Miami free safety Jacoby Thomas. Indiana ends up scoring a field goal on that drive, but let's bring in Matt Austin, our rules expert. Matt, I know during the broadcast it had been relayed to Sean and Greg about potentially that could have been targeting. What'd you see on that one? There was no flag there.
Yeah, Mark, I definitely thought there should have been targeting on the play. The quarterback, although he's not defenseless when he's carrying out a run fake, you still can't take a cheap shot on him. I think the defender checked all the boxes for targeting. He lowered his head. He had an upward thrust. He put the crown of his helmet right into the quarterback's face mask, and that's targeting with the crown of the helmet. It should have been called on the field. If nothing else, it should have been stopped by replay.
One quick follow-up, Matt, for you is how difficult for a referee to officiate this game with the amount of physical play and how fast it's going?
Well, you can tell that the officials decided they're going to let the players play, and I'm okay with that. There's been a couple pass interferences that you may have called in the regular season, but they've let him play both ways. But the two hits on the quarterback, the cheap shot in the back that Sean made reference to a minute ago, and the targeting, you've got to get those. You've got to get the safety fouls, even if you're letting them play.
Matt Austin, our rules expert, and Kelly Stauffer. Nico Radicic ends up with a 34-yard field goal, and those are the only points in the first quarter. 3-0 Indiana leading Miami. You know, we're talking about the Miami physical defense, but the Hoosiers played a really good brand of defense in this first half, and especially in that first quarter.
And, Kesty, I think that's what's surprising to a lot of people that don't really know a lot about Indiana or haven't followed them, is Indiana's not afraid to get into a rock fight in a physical kind of slugfest, and they've been really good on the line of scrimmage themselves. And I think what won the day, aside from the defenses in that first half, is Miami has this tendency at just the wrong time to have miscues. And there were a handful of missed tackles that added yards after the catch or after contact in that first half by Miami. And then I think there are a couple of times defensively where Miami didn't adjust to the up-tempo a couple of times by Indiana offensively. I think that caught them by surprise, and then a few penalties. And it wasn't a lot of penalties. I think there were only 3 of them, but it's when they happen. They extended drives. They took away a little bit of field position. And because Indiana is so good and consistently disciplined, you have to play clean yourself, and Miami really didn't do that in the first half.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're exactly right. 3 penalties, and at one point, 26 yards penalized to only 26 yards of offense. They had the offsides call, Miami did, on the 3rd and 13 Indiana. That made it a 3rd and 8. Thought one of the bigger plays was Kalon Black right there, a 20-yard run, first down to the 23. They eventually got it down to the 1-yard line.
They have Mendoza going under center in the I formation with Nowakowski, the fullback, in front of Black. They give it to Nowakowski, and he powers in for a touchdown. Out of the I with Nowakowski, ordinarily a tight end. It's an Indiana touchdown, the first touchdown of this game with 6:13 to go.
And Kelly, 4 third-down conversions. Nobody does it better than Indiana. And 6:44 taken off the clock. They are winning the clock battle so far in this first half.
And Kesty, that drive that we just listened to, it was 14 plays, 85 yards, and you talked about it, almost 7 minutes. Well, at the time, Miami only had 14 plays offensively in the entire game with, I think it was 6:13 left in the second quarter. So Miami really was in rhythm that first drive, a few plays. Even though it was only 5 plays, they had a sense of what they wanted to accomplish. They really were completely out of rhythm the rest of that half until that last drive, and it resulted in a missed field goal. But it was 8 plays. They got the run game going a little bit, and if you get that going, the play-action pass is certain to follow. They had a 25-yard completion on play action. So that's more of what Miami certainly is going to have to do offensively in this second half.
Yeah, and before that field goal hit off that right upright, you had mentioned to me this is an important drive for Miami, not just to get their offense going, because the defense had been on the field for so much in the first half.
Yeah, and I think that's where you see the complementary nature of the game that we play and that we get to watch here tonight is Miami's defense had to defend more than twice the plays that Indiana did. And so they were gassed on that last 14-play drive. First of all, that's taxing even when your offense is playing well, when you're on the field for almost 7 minutes. So that was huge. And then Miami did extend the drive enough. They kept the football a little bit. And I think they found some things that they can maybe go back to in the second half. But the bottom line is, I think if you're Mario Cristobal at halftime, you're happy with what your defense did. Let's not forget that. They've only given up 10 points to this juggernaut of a Heisman Trophy winner in that offense for Indiana, and they were getting hits on Fernando Mendoza. We talked about that had to happen, and Miami was successful doing that defensively, literally bloodied his lip, got him to the ground a handful of times. They will need to do more of that in the second half.
Our first half highlights brought to you by Venmo. Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. More of Kelly Stauffer's second half adjustments coming up on this College Football Live halftime report. And you're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN app.
Mark Kestisher, Kelly Stauffer with you. College Football Live halftime report. The CFP National Championship game at the break. It's Indiana 10, Miami nothing. I think Kelly knows the answer to our Dr. Pepper trivia question. If Indiana wins this game, who's the only other team, Kelly, that has gone 16-0 in a season? I know you got this.
Who gave us the heads up on this? It was Yale, actually, in 1894.
1894. Did you know 13 of those 16 wins were by shutout? So there you go. There's your factoid of the night.
Defensive juggernaut in Yale. I heard about that.
Yes. Biggest adjustment for both teams here as we get set for the second half.
Well, Kesty, both teams, I think, need to use their quarterbacks in the run game. You don't want to do it often, but you do want to do it in a timely manner, and I think that would be a good supplement to the run game for both teams. And I think Miami has to run the football, so get the ball to the edge in the run game, and also don't be afraid to use your quick pass game as essentially the replacement of the run game. And if you're Indiana, you got to be patient running the football right down Main Street. They had some success with it. Continue to beat that defensive front up a little bit and slow them down and not have them bloodying your quarterback's lip again.
I thought there was, in the first half, we talked a lot about the right side of that Indiana offensive line. Could it hold up against this Miami defensive front? As you pointed out, Miami got some headway there. They got some shots on the quarterback, but I thought Indiana acquitted itself pretty well on the offensive line in the first half.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a decent job. But, again, I think when the pressure was ratcheted up on the quarterback, Indiana's run game kind of took off a little bit, and they ran right between the tackles, actually between the guards. And I think that took a little pressure off of those edge rushers getting to Fernando Mendoza a little bit.
All right, Indiana's going to receive the second half kickoff. Obviously, we were at the Fiesta Bowl when Xavier Lucas got the targeting call in the second half, which meant he had to sit out the first half. How important is getting Lucas back for this Miami secondary here, especially with them being on defense to open the half?
Yeah, Kesty, I think that's a great point. I think Corey Heatherman, by getting Lucas back in this half, I think he can ratchet up the pressure a little bit. Remember, we talked about Penn State kind of showed a template to just all-out pressure on Mendoza and get him to the ground, make him feel the defense, and maybe he will stumble into a mistake, and Penn State had a chance to win that game at the end. That's kind of what Miami has to do defensively in the second half. They can ratchet up pressure even though they're a zone team on the back end and they try to get home with the front four. They can add some guys and try to get the quarterback to the ground a little bit in the second half.
And final thought, third down is going to be huge, right? Indiana had 4 of them on that touchdown drive. Miami's 0 for 6 so far in third down.
Well, Kesty, you know what's interesting? We talk about all these matchups and personnel and Heisman Trophy winners. You know what it comes down to? Tackling and execution. And execution, particularly in situational football, and you're right, third down to extend drives in Miami just has been behind the sticks a lot of times. An average line to gain on third down of almost 7 yards. That is not going to cut it in this second half.
Miami trailing Indiana. The Hoosiers unbeaten, outgaining Miami 169-69 in the first half. Hoosiers will receive the second half kick. Back we go to Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida with Ian Fitzsimmons, Quint Kesnick on the sidelines, and alongside Greg McElroy, here's Sean McDonough.
All right, Mark, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. The teams are on the field, and we're getting ready for the start of the second half. Greg, the 69 yards by Miami that Kesty just referenced, the lowest first half total in any college football championship game. This is the 12th year of the CFP, the second year of the 12-team field. The previous low in the first half of the title game was Notre Dame's 93 in the first half last year in their loss to Ohio State. So what does Miami need to do to move the ball?
They got to be able to run the football a little bit better. They right now are having a hard time blocking and sustaining the block against Indiana's movement. They're very athletic. They got to engage and move along the line of scrimmage. And for Indiana, they just need to continue doing what they're doing. I would anticipate a slightly more aggressive Miami defense in the second half, not give up as many freebies underneath, but they got to stay committed to the run because that's been effective.
Let's check in on each sideline. On the Indiana side, here's Ian Fitzsimmons.
Sean Kurtzignetti, head coach at Indiana, had a very firm message to this Big 12 officiating crew. My quarterback has been hit late, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Keep an eye on it. His message to his team at halftime, win more battles than they do. The next rep, the next snap, win more battles than they do. A very firm, simple message from the head coach of the Hoosiers. Over to Miami with Quint.
Well, the good news for Hurricane fans, Xavier Lucas, the cornerback, is allowed to play now in the second half after being ineligible for play in the first half after a targeting foul against Ole Miss. Does that change the way the Hurricanes play defense on the outside? Maybe their coverage gets a little tighter. They play more press man-to-man. I walked with Mario Cristobal out of the locker room, frustrated at a penalty, frustrated at a couple missed tackles, frustrated at third down, 0 for 6 versus Indiana's 4 for 7. But he said this game is very well within our identity. We knew it would be a rock fight. We knew it would be low scoring.
His team was blanked at the half in the first round at Texas A&M. That was a scoreless tie on a very windy day. Miami rallied to win that 10-3. The Canes kick off. Carter Davis kicking off from our left to our right, and it's a booming kickoff. It almost went through the uprights. So Indiana starts from the 25. Fernando Mendoza, 12 out of 17 in the first half for 116 yards. The 5 incompletions matching the total number of incompletions he threw in the first 2 rounds against Alabama and Oregon, when he went 31 for 36 combined.
And he was pretty efficient, Sean. A few of those incompletions a result of pressure from Miami's defensive front, but most of the throws have been underneath. At some point, he'll take some shots downfield.
They open in the shotgun, the ball just inside the left hash mark. Kaylon Black's the running back to the left of Mendoza, who hands it off out of the gun to Black straight ahead. And he fights back to the line of scrimmage, and that's just about it. Zechariah Poyser up from the secondary for Miami. Black's the leading rusher in the game, 8 carries for 43 yards. Just 53 yards rushing for IU. So Xavier Lucas back in. And that's a big boost, as Quint said, to the Miami defense. Mendoza out of the gun again on 2nd and 10 with Black again on his left. 2 wide receivers to the wide side right. He looks to the short side left, has nothing doing, and then he gets sacked. Back near the 15-yard line by Akeem Mesidor. The outstanding defensive end from Ottawa, Ontario. 34.5 career sacks.
And Mesidor really gets home quickly because Lucas now covering Surratt into the boundary. Very good coverage. Took a while to get him, but the twist up front led to the sack on Mendoza.
First sack of the night for Miami. They've hit Mendoza a bunch, pressured him. They're back on the 18. Out of the gun with Black, the running back, to the right of Mendoza. He hands it off to Black, who runs across the 20 and then gets stacked up short of the 25-yard line by Marquise Lightfoot. There is a flag down. His head went spinning around almost as if there might have been a face mask. The back judge threw the flag and is in to talk to Michael Vandervelde, the referee out of the Big 12 Conference. 3 Miami penalties in the first half, 2 for Indiana.
Personal foul, face mask.
Wow.
Defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That is enormous. It was going to be a 3 and out, but there was the face mask against the Hurricanes. It was Armando Blunt who reached in and twisted the headgear of Black around. No question about the call.
Yeah, and Blunt actually won immediately on the inside and gets Black in the backfield, but that left arm reaches up, grabs the face mask, turns it, and the back judge makes the call.
So the drive continues for Indiana. 1st and 10 at their own 38, just inside the right hash mark. Out of the gun again, Mendoza. Roman Hemby, the running back, to his left. It's a handoff to Hemby. Running up the far hash marks and taken down by Keontae Scott. Just across the 38-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 10. No gain on the play.
Keontae Scott was a little bit quiet in the first half, but he's got to be big in the second half, especially with blitzes from the field like he had right there to make a short play.
2nd down and 10. Hemby remains the running back. He's on the right hip now. Mendoza, 3 wide receivers to the left now. And pressured immediately. Mendoza flushed to his left, throws on the move into traffic and incomplete. Threw it in a double coverage in the direction of Elijah Surratt at the Miami 40-yard line. Ethan O'Connor nearest in coverage. Jacoby Thomas nearby. Indiana still has not turned the ball over in this college football playoff.
And another off-target throw from Mendoza, trying to work Cooper, who got collisioned underneath. There was a lot of contact between him and the receivers, and instead Mendoza throws it deep and off target.
3rd down and 9. They're 4 out of 8 on 3rd down. Miami hasn't converted on 6 3rd down tries. The penalty extended the drive on 3rd down on the last third. Roman Hemby, the running back, out of the gun. Back to pass. Mendoza pressured from behind and sacked. Reuben Bain ran him down as Mendoza tried to escape to the far sideline. And a sack back at the 30-yard line for a loss of 8.
And what a rush by Reuben Bain. He's working against the outstanding left tackle, Carter Smith. And it just takes too long as Mendoza tried to flush to his right. Bain was able to chase him down and drop him.
Bain's had a magnificent playoff already. Expected to be a very high draft choice, and he has certainly only enhanced his status here in the postseason. Mitch McCarthy on the punt on 4th down and 17. 3 minutes into the second half, 10-0 Indiana. High end over end kick. Malachi Tony backpedals to his 20 on the far hash marks. Cuts to the outside across the 30. Across the 35, and he steps out of bounds at the 37-yard line. They're going to give him the 38. So a nice 18-yard return. Jeff Utzinger made the tackle for Indiana. Walk-on linebacker who plays on special teams. 11:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. It's Indiana 10, Miami nothing. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National
on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Clint Kestenix on the sideline, the Miami side, where the Hurricanes are trying to find some offense, and Ian Fitzsimmons patrolling the Indiana sideline. First possession of the half upcoming for Miami. 11:52 to go, 3rd quarter, 10-0. Indiana, historically low, 69 yards of offense in that first half for the Canes.
And they found a little something in their final drive of the half, though, where they put a tight formation to the right-hand side of the offensive line and just ran it right behind Maui Noah and Cooper, the right tackle and right guard, respectively. They could probably lean on that a bit, but at some point they're going to have to create some bigger plays on the outside.
49-yard punt by Mitch McCarthy, an 18-yard return by Malachi Tony, who's had a very quiet night. He's caught 3 balls, but just for 11 yards. Maybe they can get the dynamic playmaker more involved. Ball's on the left hash mark. They're going from left to right. And they break a huddle with Fletcher on the right side of Carson Beck, who's in the shotgun. 3 receivers. Into the boundary left is Keelan Marion. Slot right is Tony. Direct snap to Beck. Steps up into the pocket, throws over the middle for a short completion. Out to the 43-yard line. It is Malachi Tony. And he got 5 on that catch.
So far, there hasn't been much for Carson Beck in this game. He did have the one throw to C.J. Daniels off play action, but Indiana's done a good job of kind of keeping everything in front of them. They've been defending the run with their front four. The linebackers have been aggressive too, but Beck needs to soften them up with the passing game.
They go to the pistol on 2nd and 5 from the left hash. Fletcher behind Beck, 2 receivers into the boundary left. C.J. Daniels wide to the right. It's a handoff, running right to Fletcher, has room outside. He may go inside the 30 of Indiana. He'll go all the way. Touchdown, Fletcher. A quick hop off right tackle. He bounced it out to the outside, and he never got touched. A 57-yard run. And Miami is on the board, and their fans here in their home stadium are going crazy.
And that was really one of the few times that we've seen Miami try to stretch Indiana's defense to the outside. So much of what they did is between the tackles in the first half, and it was met with mixed results. That time they get to the outside, Fletcher gets a step, and he's out the gate.
His mom, Linda, here tonight, has been to every game of his Miami career, home and away. Here is Carter Davis for the extra point, and it is right down the middle. So Miami stifled the entire first half. They're mobbing the team leader Fletcher on their bench on the far sideline after the 57-yard touchdown run. And he never got touched. Nice blocking on the outside right by Alex Bauman, the tight end. This crowd is alive now. 11:06 to go in the third quarter. Indiana 10.
On ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Quint Kestenik, and Ian Fitzsimmons. Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida is alive in this national championship game. Miami on the board on the longest run of the season by Mark Fletcher, 57-yard touchdown run. 1 yard longer than the run he had in his magnificent career-high performance at Texas A&M in their first-round win, when he almost single-handedly marched them down the field to set up the winning touchdown, which was scored by Malachi Toney in their 10-3 win over the Aggies. He now has 478 career rushing yards in the playoff, all of them this year. That's Miami's first appearance in the playoff. That passes Ezekiel Elliott, the great running back of Ohio State, for the most rushing yards in a single college football playoff. He had 476. It's also the second longest rushing touchdown by any player in a BCS or CFP national championship game. Beanie Wells of Ohio State, 65 yards for a score against LSU back in 2008. That changed the complexion of this one significantly.
It absolutely did, and I think it kind of showed that while the body blows that Miami was delivering right up the middle softened up the edges a bit, and that's where they found some space for the touchdown.
Well, it's the first time Indiana has trailed by fewer than 10 points in the second half in this year's playoffs. In this, their third game, a couple of routs against Alabama and Oregon. Carter Davis's kickoff is a touchback well over the head of Roman Hemby. The TV cameras focused on Linda Fletcher. Mark Fletcher's mom, his dad, big Mark Fletcher, a huge Cane fan, a big reason why Mark Fletcher decided to stay home in South Florida and play for the Canes. His dad was a big Miami fan. Died suddenly in the middle of last season. And Mark Fletcher dedicates every performance to his dad, sends him a text on game day still. So here's Indiana now up by only 3. And out of the pistol from the 25. Mendoza hands it off to Hemby, trying to get outside to the right, and he does. Breaks off a couple of tackles and stumbles forward to the 40-yard line along the far numbers. He stayed on his feet after a couple of hits from some Canes, and finally Zechariah Poyser got him down.
He had a very similar looking play to what Miami just ran for the touchdown. Stretch outside off the right tackle, and there was a lot of space.
A gain of 15 for Roman Hemby. He remains the running back out of the gun, Mendoza. And it's a handoff to Hemby through a hole on the left side and then cuts to the middle and advances to the 44-yard line with a gain of 4. Hemby's been held in check tonight, just 27 yards now on 12 carries. Give him 28 on 12 carries.
Feels like every one of those yards have been earned too. There's been some collisions he's had to run through.
A very physical game between Two physical teams. Physicality really has been the theme throughout this college football playoff. Mendoza out of the shotgun, claps his hands several times, takes a high snap and hands it off to Hemby off the right side and across the 45 and down at the 47-yard line. He's 3 yards short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 3. 9:40 to go in the third quarter, and Indiana leading 10-7.
In the first half, Miami on 3rd down and medium, they were really susceptible to the run. They had a bunch of guys walked up and they got gashed twice for conversions. Will they adjust now here in the second half?
Ahmad Moten limped off, a big presence in the middle of that defensive line for Miami. David Blade Jr. is in for him. Out of the gun, Mendoza. The running back, Hemby, is on his right hip. 3 receivers wide to the left. Mendoza, quick throw, bobbled, and then dropped by Surratt. It's an incomplete pass. He juggled it, looked like he might catch it after the bobble, but it hit the ground. Mohamed Touré helped knock it away. So a rare drop by Elijah Surratt. He would have had the first down across midfield. He was wide open, but lost the ball as he turned to cut up field. And a rare self-inflicted wound by the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, he just took his eyes off the ball, thought he collected it for a moment, but didn't quite grasp it.
It almost was a catch. On the second attempt, Touré knocked it away just before it could be classified as a catch. Mitch McCarthy punts high and short and end over end. Malachi Toney, fair catch at the 12-yard line near the left hash marks. So a big drop by Surratt, and momentum still on the side of Miami. That's a 41-yard punt for McCarthy. 9:02 to go, third quarter. Indiana 10, Miami 7 in the college football playoff national championship.
And on the ESPN app.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the college football playoff national championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy in the booth. Ian Fitzsimmons and Quint Kesselniger on the sidelines. 9:02 to go in the third quarter in this national championship game. Indiana leading 10-7. They were up 10-0 at the half. But on the second play of this half on offense for Miami, Mark Fletcher, the star of this postseason for the Canes, busted one 57 yards for a touchdown outside the right tackle. First rushing touchdown given up by IU outside the tackle since their season opener against Old Dominion. They are 15-0, the Hoosiers, trying to go to 16-0. The only other team to do that in major college football was Yale back in 1894. Mark Fletcher, the running back, they're in the pistol. And it's a handoff to Fletcher straight ahead from Carson Beck. Got to the 13 and then repelled. The gain of 1, worst starting field position of the night for Miami.
And kind of back to what they were doing early in the half, first half that is, run right between the tackles. They got to continue to kind of mix it in between the outside the tackles and inside the tackles to keep this defense guessing.
Fletcher 84 yards rushing, 57 on the touchdown run. On 11 carries, he's now on the right hip of Beck out of the gun. Toney goes in motion to the right slot to the left, 2 receivers to either side. It's a quick throw to Toney, off target, low and away along the far sideline near the 16-yard line. Not a good throw by Carson Beck, who has not had a good night. 7 out of 12 for 54 yards.
And right now, there's really not much of a threat of a deep ball over the top. The safeties for Indiana playing at about 10 to 12 yards at most. The corners not really threatened deep either. So at some point, they got to soften those guys up with the shot.
Miami's 0 for 6 on third down. Fletcher, the running back, on the right side of Beck out of the gun. 2 receivers in the boundary to the left. C.J. Daniels wide to the right near the numbers. The snap to Beck. He sets, fires to the right, and it is incomplete. Intended for C.J. Daniels at the 25, which would have been a first down, but it was very well defended by Jamari Sharp, one of 4 Indiana Hoosiers from the Miami area. He's from Miami Northwestern High School. He's the nephew of Glenn Sharp, Miami defender who was called for that very controversial pass interference call against Ohio State in overtime When the Canes thought they had won the national championship, the flag extended the game, and Ohio State won in 2002. So here's a punt for Dylan Joyce from his own goal line. Rolls right, kicks it. Tumbling punt toward the far sideline, lands near the 45-yard line of Indiana and carries out of bounds along the Miami sideline on the far side. They're going to mark it at the 43. It's a 44-yard punt, well positioned by Dylan Joyce. 8:09 to go, third quarter. Indiana ball, leading 10-7.
And for Indiana on this drive, they need to continue to mix the run pass, adjust the pocket. They tried that earlier, and it led to an inaccurate throw, but these pass rushers are really starting to get home. They're really starting to make their presence felt. Move Mendoza out of the pocket to change the launch point.
A drop pass by Surratt into the last possession, their first drop pass in the last 4 games. Out of the shotgun, Fernando Mendoza, play fake to Black. He's in trouble. They have him around the legs, and they take him down through the Canes, back near the 35-yard line. Raheem Mesidor again there for Miami. It's an 8-yard loss.
And Mesidor is working against the right tackle in this situation, Johnny. And Johnny filling in for Benson gets run right around. There's absolutely nothing Mendoza can do.
Third Miami sack for 23 yards. 50 on the season for Miami. That leads the country. 2nd and 18. Kalon Black, the running back. They go out of the gun. 2 receivers to either side. It's a handoff straight ahead to Black. His legs keep turning, and he stays on his feet, fights his way to the 41. Finally tackled along the near hash marks there by Zechariah Poyser. He got 6. They'll need 12 on third down. More than midway through the third quarter. Indiana leading 10-7.
And Miami bringing on their specialty pass rushers now. Lightfoot, number 12, looking like he might line up inside, but he'll probably bounce out to the edge where his presence is most felt.
Out of the shotgun, Fernando Mendoza with a running back, Black on his right hip. 3 receivers in a bunch to the right. Surratt into the boundary to the left. The candidate for a back shoulder throw there with coverage from Frederic. Now the running back shifts to the left. Snap to Mendoza. Here's a back shoulder throw to Surratt, and it's incomplete. Frederic had the coverage. It looked like, if anything, Surratt got away with a little bit of a push-off, and he couldn't corral the throw.
Well done by Sean McDonough right there, Sportscaster of the Year, seeing the one-on-one. And it was perfectly thrown. It's just really well covered, and they're letting them get away with a lot on the outside.
Sure are. A lot of hand fighting on both sides, and that's another ball we've seen Surratt catch, excuse me, during the course of the season. Got one hand on it. Kurt Cignetti a little frustrated with the officiating. Here's Mitch McCarthy to punt in his final college game at age 27. Good punt. Drives Tony back to the 5-yard line along the near numbers, and he's in trouble and swung down to the 7-yard line. Excellent punt and very well covered by Devin Boykin, one of their starting safeties. They play a lot of the starters on special teams. So Miami will start at its own 7-yard line. 54-yard punt. 2-yard return. Here's Ian Fitzsimmons on the IU sideline.
When I was talking to All-American slot corner D'Angelo Pons earlier this week, Sean, he told me one of the biggest assets that this team has is their maturity. Their average age here at Indiana is 1 year less than the Green Bay Packers. And when I posed that question to Fernando Mendoza, he said, look, we don't look at social media. We don't read we're not sniffing our flowers. We are about the man next to us and the man in the mirror. That's it, done. So how mature this team is, at the average age of just south of 24, they are a different type of college football team, and that's part of the reason why they are here leading 10-7 in the national championship and being 15-0. Now for the latest on Miami, over to Quint.
Well, Miami starting to play with some of that toughness and grit that's been on display since November 1st when they lost their second game of the year at SMU. It was a penalty-riddled overtime loss. They're backed into a corner on their final lifeline. They won out of the regular season. They got some breaks, and they got in this tournament. They were the last team in. They're trying to be the last team standing. They showed the ability to win the game at Texas A&M in windy conditions. It's like the Wizard of Oz. They couldn't even pass the ball. Against Ohio State, that roster littered with NFL stars, they stood toe-to-toe and took a punch. And then against Ole Miss, they tried to beat themselves with 10 penalties. What does this Hurricane team have in store for the remainder of this game?
I think if you look at how they've responded in the second half, it looks a lot more like the Miami team that got here. The relentless pursuit of the passer. At some point, Indiana's going to have to help their tackles because their tackles are getting beat. They're also giving up pressure inside to Ahmad Moten. They need to move the pocket. They need to screen. They need to do something to slow down this pass rush. And then for Miami's offense, they just have to continue to lean on the run game. But at some point, whether it's this drive or the next, I wouldn't recommend it in the shadow of your own goalpost, dropping your quarterback into the end zone to take a shot. They have to take one because these safeties are getting very nosy, expecting the run to come.
To amplify Quint's point, the season began for Miami right here in this stadium on August 31st with what turned out to be one of the biggest wins any team had in college football this season. Certainly the most important. They beat Notre Dame 27-24. They had identical records, and it was Miami that got the call as the last at-large team in this 12-team field by virtue of the head-to-head. Also vindication for the ACC, which has become a little bit of a punching bag here in recent years. But they are very proud of the caliber of football they play, and Miami now with a chance to win the first ACC national championship since Clemson in 2018. The ball at the 7-yard line. The Canes are huddling. 6:24 to go, third quarter, 10-7 Indiana. Ball's on the right hash mark as they go from left to right. Carson Beck in the gun. Mark Fletcher, starring again tonight, is on his left hip. 3 receivers to the left. The tight end Bauman comes in motion to the right. Fletcher the handoff. Fletcher to the 10 before he's stacked up by this tenacious Indiana defense. Aiden Fisher made the tackle. The first All-American linebacker in Indiana history. Earned that honor last year and repeated again this season. Miami's going quickly to the line of scrimmage. Beck out of the gun, empty backfield. 3 receivers in a bunch to the left. He looks in that direction, zings a slant, it's broken up. And again, not a well-thrown ball at the 15-yard line. Isaiah Jones broke it up. He was trying to throw a slant to Keelan Marion, and the ball was well behind him.
They tried to fake a screen to Tony to the left and sneak Marion right in behind it. The ball was thrown well behind Marion, which allowed Jones to get in and make hands on the play.
They play a lot with 3 linebackers. Jones with Hardy and Fisher. 0 for 7 on third down Miami. This is 3rd and 7 from their own 10. 5:56 to go, third quarter. Beck under pressure, throws over the middle. Caught by Tony, but he's short of the first down in the middle of the field. Dragged down a yard short at the 16-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 1. Can't imagine Mario Cristobal's going to go for this one.
I don't think so, especially with 2 short yardage situations earlier that were stopped by the Indiana defense. That time thought Malachi Tony could maybe break away from one, but Indiana's such a good tackling team, they seldom allow the yards after contact.
Yeah, Fisher slowed him down, and then as Tony started to break away from the hands tackle, Lewis Moore stopped him, a big stop just short of the marker. So here's Dylan Joyce to punt for the 6th time. Jonathan Brady back deep, and punt is blocked. It's going to be blocked for a touchdown. Mikhail Kamara blocked it, and it's recovered in the end zone by Isaiah Jones. An Indiana touchdown. And it is 16-7. And now it's the Hoosier fans going crazy. They've blocked 8 punts now in 2 years under Curt Cignetti. And that one is huge. Turns the game right back in favor of Indiana.
Cannot say it enough. This Indiana team is complete in every possible way. Offense and defense, but also the special teams. They blocked one against Oregon. They do it again tonight. Incredible moment and play by the Hoosiers.
Joyce had no chance to get it off. Kamara was right there in front of him. Here's Radicic for the extra point. What a turn of events. It's now 17-7. Mikhail Kamara, another one of those transfers who came over from James Madison, an outstanding defensive end, and now with a huge play on special teams. And he just ran right by the wedge. They had 3 blockers in the shield right on it for Joyce, and Bauman, the tight end, just let him go. Kind of waved at him.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Bauman never got width. He was concerned about staying in phase with the rest of the shield. And Kamara, with the punter sliding just ever so slightly rugby style to his right, shortened the distance that Kamara had to go. He just had to put one hand up, and it was an easy block for the touchdown.
Really a poor play by Bauman. Here's Ian.
It all goes back to Malachi Toney fielding that ball on the 4-yard line. Every special teams coordinator will tell you, you put your heels now on the 8, not the 10, and let it go. He fielded it. He felt after the kick. I'll finish this.
Here's the kickoff, comes down short near the 5-yard line. Chris Humphrey does not make the 20. Stopped at the 19 by Byron Baldwin Jr. Ian.
So it used to be you put your heels on the 10-yard line, Sean. Now it's the 8. That was on the 4. That's where this whole thing started. And what did Coach Signetti tell us before the game? Special teams will have a massive role in this game, and you just saw it right there. Block punt for a touchdown, and by the way, that extra point banked off the left upright. Come on, man, you can't make it up.
5 minutes to go, third quarter. From the 19-yard line, ball equidistant between the hash marks. They're in the pistol. Carson Beck takes the snap, fakes to Fletcher, slow developing plays, running out of time, dumps it to Fletcher in the left flat, and he fights his way for a quality gain on first down, about 8.5. He got taken down by Devin Boykin. They rule it a gain of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Miami going with tempo now. Ball's on the left hash mark. Fletcher on the left side of Beck. 2 receivers to the right and the tight end there as well. Fletcher trying to bounce outside to the right again. Reminiscent of the touchdown play. He stays on his feet, breaks a tackle, and goes down along the near sideline at the 37-yard line. Jamari Sharp made the tackle. That's a 10-yard run. And Miami has quickly picked up 18 yards in 2 plays.
And you're 100% right. They kind of worked it to the outside and looked like Maui Noah might have gotten away with grabbing the jersey there for a little bit, but tremendous blocking.
And by might, you mean he did.
Correct. Might have offensive guy here, you know. We're gonna give
Aiden Fisher had a handful of them as Fletcher went by. Marty Brown's the running back. Quick pass by Beck. Down the far sideline, intended for Bauman, who got blasted as the ball arrived by D'Angelo Ponce. Near the 40-yard line of Indiana. There's a quick throw down the far sideline. Bauman had some space, but as the ball arrived, so did Ponce, who delivered a big hit. He's just 5'9", about 175 pounds.
And they tried to go with a little play action, fake a pitch to the right, run Bauman on a little bit of a seam to the outside, and a big collision there by Ponce, who elevates to make the play.
A rough sequence for Bauman, whiffed on the punt block and then couldn't catch that one, hit him in the hands. Running left, it's Brown on 2nd and 10. He scampers to the 40-yard line, tackled there by Lewis Moore. It's a 4-yard gain and now a critical 3rd down. They still haven't converted one. They're 0 for 8. This is 3rd down and 6 with 3.5 to go in the 3rd quarter, and Indiana back up by 10.
And what they've not been able to do, they haven't been able to create a lot of space. Indiana runs a zone defense for the most part. So they need to find one of those guys working the middle of the field. It's a dangerous throw, but that's where you're going to find space against this lineup.
Marty Brown remains the running back. Fletcher not on the field. 3 wide receivers. Marion started in motion from the left. It's a blitz from the left. Beck forced to the right. He's still in trouble. Now stops, sets, throws down the field. Caught inside the Indiana 40. And breaking a tackle, C.J. Daniels to get inside the 35. Beck scrambling for his life, but bought the time to give C.J. Daniels an opportunity to get free, and he did for a 24-yard gain.
And a great job, too, by Miami's offensive front. There was a pressure off the left. It was held up for a long time. Beck bought time, rolling to his right, back to his left to allow just enough time on the scramble, and he threw a strike to Daniels for the conversion.
They're at the 35-yard line of Indiana. 1st and 10, under 2.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. 17-7 Hoosiers. Marty Brown was the running back. He went in motion to the right. It's a quick throw to the left. Again, not very accurate, but caught. And running down the far sideline is Joshua Moore. He is down. Where are they going to spot the ball? It's at the very far end of the field from us. They're going to spot it inside the 30. And then they're going to bring it back to the 34-yard line for a gain of 1. Apparently he was down right after the catch.
And more accurate throw would have been out the gate. There was nobody home on the left side. It was a perfect call by Shannon Dawson in the fourth throw.
Accurate Beck on very short throws. 11 out of 19 for 93 yards. Brown, the running back. You wonder where Fletcher is here at crunch time. It's a fake to Brown. It's a quick throw to Tony. Down the left sideline. Inside the 15 and tackled near the 10. Lewis Moore made a touchdown saving tackle. There was a swing pass to Tony out to the left. He caught it and took off like a blur for 22 yards. 26 after the catch. He got a good block along the far sideline from Keelan Marion.
And they faked the run to the right-hand side. You saw a lot of red jerseys, crimson jerseys, excuse me, working from left to right. Immediately outflanks to the outside. It's well blocked by the outside receiver. Tony turns into a big play.
Taking down to a minute to go in the third quarter. They're on the 13-yard line are the Canes. 8th play of the drive upcoming. Fletcher back on the field. The play clock is under 3. They're in the pistol. They snap it with 2. Fletcher running left, stutter steps and crosses the 10-yard line. Down to the 9 in the arms of D'Angelo Pons. So after the first half with not a lot of action and a 10-0 Indiana lead at the break, the action has quickened. Here in the third quarter, Miami scored on a long touchdown run by Mark Fletcher and a block punt for a score for Indiana. 2nd and 7. The play clock is at 17. The game clock is 20 seconds in the third quarter. So they have to snap it at least once more. Fletcher on the left side of Beck out of the gun. It is a handoff to Fletcher up the middle, powering inside the 5 and down just shy of the line to gain at the 2. On what's going to be the last play of a very entertaining third quarter. Each team scored 7 points. Indiana's going to take a 10-point lead into the fourth quarter, but when we come back, Miami will have it 3rd down and 1 at the Indiana 3. At the end of the third quarter, it's the Hoosiers 17 and the Hurricanes 7. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
ESPN app.
We're back at the national championship game at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy down on the sidelines, Ian Fitzsimmons and Quinn Kesselnick. 17-7, Indiana leads, trying to win the first football championship in school history. But Miami has the ball 3rd down and 1 at the 3-yard line. Trying to go in and get back within 3 points. They have struggled on 3rd down. Just 1 out of 9 on 3rd down tonight. The one conversion was the most recent one.
Especially on 3rd and short, too, so it anticipates something off the right-hand side.
Beck looks like he's going to go under center with Fletcher behind him and offset to the right. Malachi Tony goes in motion, orbit motion. They fake a pitch to him. They hand it off to Fletcher, who walks in for a touchdown. Off right tackle. Beautiful play design and a great call by Shannon Dawson. They sent Tony in motion from the left to behind Carson Beck. They faked a toss to him, handed it off to Fletcher straight ahead, and he went in untouched. A 3-yard touchdown, and they're an extra point away from a 3-point game.
And it was a beautiful job, too, by the right side of the offensive line and the tight end, just completely displacing the defensive lineman on that side to allow the untouched touchdown.
There's Carter Davis with a big extra point, and it is good right down the middle. So 3 seconds into the fourth quarter, Mark Fletcher has scored his 2nd touchdown of the game. He has 16 carries, 109 yards. It's his 8th career 100-yard game. 6 of them this season in his junior year, and 3 of them in the 4 games in this college football playoff. He has come to the forefront when it matters most. He was ticketed out of high school for Ohio State, committed to them for about 8 months, and as you mentioned earlier, changed his mind late in the recruiting process to stay at home and be close to his parents and play for the team he grew up rooting for, trying to bring them back to national prominence.
Yeah, 84 yards in that third quarter just from Mark Fletcher alone. Overall, Miami outgaining Indiana in that quarter, 154 to just 11 yards. So they clearly found something on the ground. And of course, now the pressure back on Mendoza, who seemingly steps up every opportunity he can.
The block punt huge for the IU touchdown. The missed field goal by Davis in the first half lingers as well, although it was a long one. Davis kicks off from right to left, high, end over end, and it'll be a touchback. Lands about 7 yards deep in the end zone. So some game pressure on Indiana here in the fourth quarter, something they haven't experienced in the playoffs in the first two rounds with their routs of Alabama in the Rose Bowl and in their last outing in the Big Ten affair against Oregon in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl semifinal.
Really going to be important for the offensive line of Indiana to step up here. 3 sacks given up in that third quarter. Didn't allow Mendoza much time whatsoever, so they got to protect their quarterback.
Ahmad Moten back into the defensive line. They're going to move the ball. Indiana wants the ball just inside the left hash mark, the far hash mark, as they go from our left to our right here in the fourth quarter. Mendoza has been sacked 3 times here in the second half. He's in the gun with Kalon Black on his left. It's a shotgun snap. It's Black, a quick pop off right guard. He stood up as he got to the 27-yard line for a pickup of 2. Mendoza's 12 out of 20 for 116. They haven't had anything going down the field. He's 2 out of 6 on passes thrown 10 yards or more down the field.
And the coverage has really tightened up for Miami in the second half with the return of Xavier Lucas, who's now playing into the boundary, and we've seen him mostly playing press coverage.
The numbers almost identical for these two quarterbacks now. On 2nd and 8 out of the gun with Black, the running back, to the left of Mendoza to hand off to Black again. Quick hitter up the middle. He breaks a couple of tackles and goes out to the 40-yard line for a first down. Chase Smith made the tackle. It is a gain of 13, and they're at the 40-yard line. To amplify the point about the quarterback, both Beck and Mendoza are 12 for 20. Beck's thrown for 115 yards, Mendoza for 116. Doesn't get much closer than that. Mendoza's been sacked 3 times, Beck taken down only once. Out of the shotgun, Mendoza. Black behind him to the right. It's a fake to him. It's a quick throw to the right side, and it's broken up, intended for Omar Cooper, and it was batted away by Ethan O'Connor.
Ethan O'Connor was on the receiving end of a lot of those hitch routes that were thrown underneath in the first half. Had a couple missed tackles as a result. That time he breaks on it quickly. And if I'm the offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan, I'm thinking to myself, all right, 24 is ready for a double move. Maybe
yes,
a hitch
indeed.
and go at some point.
No question. A couple of these DBs for Miami are jumping on these quick throws. Here's 2nd down and 10, 13:40 to go. Fourth quarter, 17-14 Indiana. Mendoza claps. Has the shotgun snap, throws it to Cook wide to the left, has blockers out in front, he's across midfield, and down near the Miami 41-yard line on the far sideline. Tackled by Keontae Scott, just a quick hitter out to the left. They had 3 receivers out there, and the other 2 did a great job, Surratt and Nowakowski blocking on that play for Cooper, who goes for 18.
Yeah, and the Will linebacker, Basaint, he was way too close to the line of scrimmage. He was right around where the tackle was. I mean, there's 3 receivers to block just 2 guys, and there's nothing you can do. Cooper takes it out.
First completion of the half for Mendoza. He's 1 out of 5 for 18 yards. He's in the gun. The ball's on the left hash. He takes the snap. He's pressured immediately. Steps away from Bain. Runs forward to get away from the rush. And ducked his head down just shy of the 40-yard line. Akeem Mesidor, the other end alongside Bain, there to make the tackle to put it right down on the 41-yard line on the left hash.
And that's a good decision there by Mendoza. Immediate pressure in the right-hand side. Bain's right there. Could have been a sack very easily, but quickly he just says, take what I can get. You won this snap. Let's try not to make it 2nd and long.
Fernando Mendoza trying to lead IU to the national championship here in his hometown. Roman Hemby's the running back. He gets a handoff running left out of the shotgun. And he gets stopped at the 37-yard line along the far numbers. It'll be 3rd down and 5, and the clock's going to run under 12 minutes to go.
Pressure has really been relentless from this Miami defensive front. When you're on the left hash, though, with the right-handed quarterback, it's a perfect opportunity to change the launch point, move Mendoza to his right. If nothing's there downfield, he could take off and run, maybe pick it up on his own.
Probably not in field goal range for the regular kicker, Radicic, who's never tried a 50-yarder plus, but they do have Frankie, the long-range kicker, healthy tonight. Roman Hemby, the running back, on 3rd down and 5. Out of the gun again, Mendoza. He claps. They don't snap it. They snap it on the second clap. He sets and throws for Cooper. Never saw the ball coming at the 10-yard line along the near side. He was riding right along the numbers. Had his back turned when the ball got there. Ethan O'Connor was in coverage. And now Curt Cignetti has the decision to make on 4th down and 5 at the Miami 37 with his team up by 3 and 11.5 to go.
And they tried to go with the slot fade, but Cooper released inside, and the ball was thrown way inside, and O'Connor grabbed the jersey with the left hand. Could have probably been a hold as well.
Cooper never saw the ball coming. They're slow to substitute. The play clock's at 10. They're still in the huddle. Cooper runs on late. Cignetti's going to use the timeout. It's a rare fire drill on the Indiana sideline. 4th down and 5, and it looks like they're going to go for it. You would have to think that they will try to draw Miami offside, and the Canes will have to be alert for that when play resumes. 11:28 remaining in the 4th quarter. 11:28 to go. It's been a very exciting college football season. And this national championship game has the potential to be a classic. Indiana leads 17-14. And they're looking at 4th down and 5. And it looks like, Greg, they're going to go for it with the ball on the Miami 37-yard line.
You have to wonder, too, they've utilized a delay snap on a couple different occasions, which would indicate maybe just hesitate a half second, get them to jump in the neutral zone, and then you snap it, so you might get a free play. But I'd anticipate some type of trickery with this snap count and the rhythm of it.
They do have the offense on the field. It'll be about a 54-yard field goal, probably for Frankie. He's only kicked 3 in college in his life. They do snap it. Mendoza out of the gun, sets, throws to the near sideline, and it is caught. Charlie Becker inside the 20-yard line with a back shoulder throw. Another mammoth catch by the sophomore from Nashville. On 4th and 5, they get 21. The ball was thrown behind him on the back shoulder. He had to lunge for it about waist high behind him and made a terrific catch in his hands and just did get down in bounds.
Amazing catch by Becker, being able to adjust.
The huge play. They're at the 18-yard line, 1st and 10, under 11 minutes to go. On 1st down, it's Kalon Black taking a handoff out of the shotgun from Mendoza. He takes it inside the 15 to the 14. Justin Scott and Jacoby Thomas made the tackle for Miami.
That back shoulder throw on 4th and 5. Becker's been so reliable all season long, but he's usually the guy that's getting behind the defense. That time showing quickness to stop on a dime, adjust his body to the catch, and secure it for one of the biggest 4th down conversions of the season.
And a nice catch on the ball a little bit behind him. They're at the 14-yard line, 2nd and 5. Critical for Miami to force a field goal attempt. Touchdown would be enormous. The handoff straight ahead to Kalon Black. Another gun run and a short gain. He got 2. It'll be 3rd down and 4 at the Miami 12, and the clock's under 10 minutes to go. As Fernando Mendoza's parents look on anxiously, Fernando Sr. and his mom Elsa. Carson Beck just standing and watching on the sideline. An enormous 3rd down and 4 now from the 12. They're just 4 out of 11 on 3rd down, below their standard. Out of the gun, Mendoza. He drops straight back to pass, pumps, throws back in the end zone, incomplete. Intended for E.J. Williams Jr., the Clemson transfer. Good coverage by Ethan O'Connor. And it's 4th down and 4, and Cignetti still has the offense on the field. And again, a lot of contact allowed. Ethan O'Connor had hands on Williams 3 yards deep in the end zone, and they allowed it. So after pondering it for a moment, the field goal team runs on late. The play clock's at 15. Kurt Cignetti's going to use another timeout. And that's a couple of times that this is on him, because he waited a long time to make the decision, then decided to send the field goal team on. By the time they started, they weren't going to get the playoff without it being rushed.
And I could understand 4th and 3 or less in that scenario where you'd really trust your quarterback, probably give him a chance to go and get it, knowing a touchdown makes this thing very, very difficult on Miami. But I think at 4th and 4 or more, you'd almost always think field goal in this situation, but maybe having some hesitation based on the extra point that glanced off the upright a little earlier.
Well, Radicic has been money. We said earlier he doesn't have a big leg. He doesn't try long field goals. He's never tried one in the 2 seasons he's been the kicker for Indiana longer than 46 yards. But he's made almost everything. He's made one tonight. He is 28 for 30 in his 2-year career. And inside of 40, he has missed only once in 21 kicks. And now the offense looks like it's coming back out. And might this be an attempt to draw them offside on 4th down and 4? Or will they snap and go for what they hope would be a knockout punch in a 2-score lead? The offense back on the field. They're 1 for 1 on 4th down tonight. Mendoza's in the gun. The ball's on the 13-yard line. He's clapping as if they're going to snap it. They do snap it. He takes off running on a design quarterback draw. He has the 1st down. He spins into the end zone. What a play by Mendoza. And what a call. It was a design run. He bounced off a couple of hits. Looked like he was going to get the 1st down. He wasn't satisfied. It's another highlight reel play for Mendoza and a 9-point lead.
Incredibly well done right there, and a great call by Mike Shanahan. Just 5 guys in the box defensively for Miami, anticipating pass for sure in that scenario. Instead, they fool him with the draw, and he puts his body on the line to give them a 9-point lead.
The signature play of this championship game, Mendoza, the extra point up and good by Radicic. Kurt Cignetti put it in the hands of the greatest player in Indiana football history. He took off running up the middle. He got hit hard at the 5-yard line, but spun off it and then went airborne, launching himself from about the 2 and got it across the goal line for the touchdown, with his dad and his younger brother Max going crazy on either side of mom Elsa, who is watching from a wheelchair. She is Fernando's inspiration. If you saw his Heisman Trophy acceptance speech, you know how close he is to his mother, and the look of elation on her face will be etched in the memory of everybody who just saw that on national TV. What a play. 9:18 to go, 4th quarter. Indiana 24, Miami 14 in the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
And on the ESPN app.
Fernando Mendoza was already an Indiana legend, and his legacy grows even more. On 4th down with his team leading by 3, he took off running. He first got contacted near the 13-yard line. He got a great block by Pat Coogan as Fernando cut back to the right off the center's block. He's the Notre Dame transfer. Then he got spun around like a top at the 5-yard line. Jacoby Thomas needs to make the tackle and wrap rather than just bounce him around. And then he spun into the end zone for his 7th rushing touchdown of the season. They were 2 for 2 on that drive on 4th down. Kurt Cignetti going for the knockout punch. Still 9:15 to go as Keelan Marion brings back the Frankie kickoff. There's a flag down the return. There's also a lost Miami helmet near the 30-yard line. And the tackle made near the 25. And there's a penalty on the play. What a play. The signature play of this national championship game, and one that will be remembered forever,
During the
particularly
return,
if
holding
Indiana
number
wins.
22 receiving team, 10 yards, half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Cam Bobby Pruitt called for the penalty. So from bad to worse for Miami, and now the Indiana Hoosiers on the near sideline, imploring their crowd to make some noise. The Mendoza family obliging from their seats down near the field. What a play by Mendoza.
Unbelievable play. And to think, too, it wasn't there. It was actually quite well defended, but Coogan, the transfer, him getting the key block, and Mendoza setting it up beautifully with that left to right jump cut. Unbelievable finish, too, to cross the pay dirt.
And now Miami really up against it. 9:11 to go, and after the penalty, they're going to have to start at their own 8-yard line. Call it the 9. It's about the 8.5. They're lined up in the pistol. Fletcher behind Carson Beck. Play action pass. Beck at the goal line, running out of time. Dumps it off short. Malachi Toney along the near numbers gets wrestled down around the knees. Shy of the 20. Elijah Hardy made the tackle. It's a gain of 6. And it'll be 2nd down and 4, and the Canes are going to go quickly at the clock under. 9 minutes to go now. 8:50, and it's rolling. 2nd and short. Fletcher takes a handoff out of his gun straight ahead. And he got just enough for the first down. Tackled by Mikhail Kamara, who's a little slow to get up. And Kurt Cignetti had faith in Fernando Mendoza, as he's had all season long, and boy, did he deliver.
Yeah, he did. Unbelievable, too. And now for Carson Beck and the Miami Hurricanes, throwing your way back into this game is incredibly difficult with the pass rush that Indiana has and the secondary that they have that can close holes so quickly.
1st and 10, 8:13 to go. 10-point lead for Indiana. Out of the shotgun. Beck take the quick screen to Toney. Now looking downfield, it's very well covered. He throws it deep down the field. Incomplete. Over the head of Keelan Marion along the near sideline with D'Angelo Pons in coverage. The Hoosiers weren't fooled by that fake. They wanted them to bite on a quick screen to Toney, but they did not.
They're just so disciplined. I mean, never even for a second. They tried to go with a fake screen like you described, but it was an out and up, a double move that normally defenders would try to jump. And Jamari Sharp didn't even blink at it. He stayed over the top and kept the ball in front of him.
8:03 to go. Beck is 13 for 22 for 123. Defensive struggle. 255 yards for IU, 233 for the Utes. Beck back to pass. Launches a deep one high down the near sideline. And it is caught. No, it is not. It's ruled incomplete by the field judge. Looked like Keelan Marion had it at the 35-yard line of IU. But apparently he did not hang on with D'Angelo Pons in coverage.
And D'Angelo Pons staying really, really deep and on top of it. And yes, correctly officiated there. Looked like immediately might have reeled it in. But as he's going to the ground, the ball pops out actually off of D'Angelo Pons' foot, and it leads to the incompletion.
And if you're a defensive back tonight, feel free to put your hands all over the receivers because they're letting it go on both sides. It's been consistent. Here's 3rd down and 10. They're 2 out of 10 on 3rd down, but converted the last 2. From their own 20, there's a flag before the snap. There was some movement for a false start against Miami. Be the 6th Hurricanes penalty.
False start, number 63. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
It feels like that electric touchdown run by Mendoza has taken some of the air out of the Miami Hurricanes and their fans.
And it's breathed the life into all those wearing crimson and cream tonight. And this part of the field, the far right side of the field going right to left, the band is about 30 yards behind Carson Beck to make it tough to communicate.
3rd down and 15. They're on the left hash mark at their own 15-yard line. Beck out of the shotgun sends Bauman, the tight end, wider to the right. Blitz from the left, doesn't get close. Bauman, the catch down the seam on the far sideline for a first down. He went up the far hash mark and made a catch on a beautifully thrown seam pass for 22 yards on the completion to Alex Bauman.
And a great job of the left tackle picking up the corner blitz.
They go quickly without a huddle. They're at the 37-yard line. 5-man rush. Beck sets and throws on target to Toney. Across midfield, down the middle of the field inside the 25, and all the way down to the 22-yard line. So a couple of big plays back to back. That one goes for 41 yards to Tony. 29 after the catch. They're going to spot the ball at the 22-yard line.
And Indiana kind of going with a 3 safety, almost like a pre-bent look, led to a lot of room underneath for Tony, who catches the slant and takes it for nice yards after catch.
Another response by Miami. That's been a recurring theme throughout this playoff, including their game-winning touchdown drive against Ole Miss, engineered by Beck. 1st and 10 at the IU-22. Beck, a quick set, running out of time, dumps it off short, off the hands of Fletcher and up dangerously into the air. Landed between a couple of Indiana Hoosiers, Pons and Fisher, near the 15-yard line along the near numbers.
That was really well covered by Indiana. There was nothing there for Carson Beck, and tried to find Mark Fletcher on about a 3-yard out route, kind of a check down type of route. He threw it off target. Very lucky it wasn't intercepted.
Indiana leading 24-14 with 6:44 to go in the national championship game. 2nd and 10 Miami. They're at the IU-22. Shotgun snap, and it's snapped to Tony. Caught him in jet motion. He's inside the 10. He's into the end zone for a touchdown. They snapped it as Tony went in motion from left to right. He caught the snap on the way by the center in jet motion, went around the right end, barely touched for a 22-yard touchdown.
What a wild design there for Shannon Dawson. It looked like it was going to be a fake handoff. Instead, it's just a quick little jet sweep. Toss it up to Tony. It played very similar to the one that won the game against Texas A&M.
What a wild game this has turned out to be. Miami couldn't do anything in the first half. They've now scored 21 points here in the second half after the extra point by Carter Davis. Every time one of these teams makes a play, the other has responded. Malachi Tony, the brilliant freshman who should still be in high school. He just turned 18 in September. With a nifty run, bounced off a hit at the 5-yard line to score. What a finish we are set up for. 6:37 to go in the fourth quarter. Indiana 24, Miami 21. It's the college football playoff national championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
On ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
6:37 to go in this national championship game. Back and forth they go here in the second half. Indiana still has not trailed in this playoff, but Miami keeps hanging with them. It's now 24-21. The most recent touchdown, officially a pass. They did snap it to Carson Beck, who barely touched it, just kind of nudged it forward to Tony as he went by in the jet sweep motion. So it goes as a touchdown pass for Carson Beck, the first for either quarterback tonight. And Tony had 63 yards on that drive. Of the 91 yards on that drive, 63 yards receiving for Tony, who now has another outstanding night. 9 catches for 115 and a touchdown catch.
Some great throws there too by Carson Beck. The 3rd down throw to Bauman against the pressure, throwing the seam, beautiful, taking advantage of very soft coverage, hitting Tony on the slant underneath to create a big play, and then awesome design by Shannon Dawson on the jet sweep misdirection that led to the touchdown.
These two quarterbacks playing in their final college games, each rising up here in the fourth quarter. Carter Davis's kickoff will be another touchback. Lands in the middle of the end zone. No attempt to field it by Roman Hemby or Jonathan Brady. So here comes Mendoza. Some last words of advice from the quarterback coach, Chandler Whitmer, on the sideline. 249 yards of offense for Miami in the second half after they had 69 at the break.
They just got to keep doing what they did on the last drive, Sean. 12 plays, 75 yards, stayed efficient, took advantage of 4th down, and paid it off with a touchdown in 5 minutes and 39 seconds.
Mendoza out of the gun. Roman Hemby is the running back on his left hip. The handoff to Hemby running left, and he's wrestled down at the 28-yard line after a pickup of 3. Clock goes under 6.5 to go. Ahmad Moten and Mohamed Touré made the tackle.
That was the 61st offensive snap for Indiana tonight. The time of possession so big for both these teams. And Miami's got great depth, but fatigue is probably going to be a factor on this drive.
They've had it for 31 minutes and change. Miami's actually outgained IU now 318 to 258. The block punt, a huge play. 3 receivers, 2 into the boundary to the right. It's the pistol with Hemby behind Mendoza, who takes a high snap, hands it off to Hemby, who cuts inside along the right hash marks and goes down at the 30. 5 yards short of the first down. The best third down team in the country this year, Indiana, facing third down and just under 5 with the ball just across the 30-yard line.
And given the stakes and the magnitude of this play, I'm automatically thinking, where is Elijah Surratt, and how can I make sure I'm prepared for the back shoulder throw? If he's in the slot, be ready. Outside, be ready. But the back shoulder is what you're probably going to get right here.
Ball's on the right hash mark. 5:20 to go. The clock running. Indiana leading 24-21. Mendoza in the gun. Black's on his left hip. They bring Cooper in motion to the right. He goes back to the left. Design roll to the left. It's a throw into the flat. Caught by Cooper. First down. And out of bounds. Far sideline at the 45-yard line. Another beautifully designed play by Mike Shanahan and the offensive staff, and well executed by Mendoza on the roll to the left, and the motion by Cooper got him wide open in the flat.
And one of the very few times we've seen Indiana move the pocket tonight. You had a bunch formation, created a natural pick, and Cooper was wide open for the conversion.
For 14 yards, 12 of it after the catch. 5 out of 13 now. The Hoosiers on third down. They huddle. And they get quickly over the ball with 3 wide receivers to the right, the wide side of the field. Kalon Black's the running back. Cooper in motion to the left. It's a handoff to Black running left, and he gets stood up and dumped at the 50-yard line on a sturdy tackle by Wesley Besaint. And now the clock is at issue, running with 4:20 to go. Miami with all 3 timeouts. Indiana's had to use a couple here with some uncharacteristic substitution issues. Most of the fans here on their feet, and for a few times tonight, it's kind of quiet. You can feel the tension in the air as this championship game goes under 4 minutes to go. The Hoosiers taking their time, 10 on the play clock. Mendoza in the gun. Black, the running back, behind him and to the right. The snap to Mendoza, the handoff to Black, and he's dumped behind the line of scrimmage. They had penetration right up the middle from Reuben Bain and Wesley Besaint. And here's another critical third down and 7. And it'll be well under 3.5 minutes to go when the Hoosiers snap it.
And that was really well timed by Besaint, who ran right across the center's face and made the tackle in the backfield.
Besaint, the first man Mario Cristobal went to recruit on the day he was introduced as the head coach at Miami. Went straight to his high school. Here's Mendoza out of the gun. He walks closer to the center, hollering some instructions. Kalon Black wants to know what it was. He keeps shifting back and forth. He's on the right of Mendoza. They snap it to Fernando. Back to pass, throwing to the right. Back shoulder throw, and it is caught. Charlie Becker, another amazing catch at the 30-yard line with the defender draped all over him. It was Ethan O'Connor. They continue to allow contact on the edges, and these receivers continue to power through.
Just incredible strength by Becker. O'Connor was all over him, almost tackled him. Tons of contact, could have easily been a foul. Instead, it's not. Becker reeling it in for another big play.
We're gain of 19. We're under 2.5 minutes to go. 2 huge third down conversions. Hemby's the running back. They're in the pistol off the right hash mark. It's a handoff to Hemby. Trying to bounce outside. He is outside. Down the sideline and out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Ethan O'Connor, the play there. Mario Cristobal's going to have to start thinking about timeouts. He went out of bounds. The clock stopped with 2 minutes and 16 seconds for a moment. Now it is running. And it was a gain of 10 and an Indiana first down, and Mario Cristobal is going to let it go to the 2-minute stoppage and save all 3 timeouts for under the 2-minute stoppage. They're the best third down team in the country all year by a mile, and a couple of huge conversions on this drive. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Ian Fitzsimmons are on the sidelines. 2 minutes to go, and these two teams continue to respond every time one of them seems like they've taken an upper hand in terms of momentum. The other responds, and that includes this drive by Indiana, which is about to snap its 8th play.
Incredible, and just 2 massive throws and catches on this drive to extend. Charlie Becker on 3rd and medium, back shoulder throw, a guy that's traditionally the one that you go over the top. He did it against Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. He always steps up, and Mendoza, as accurate as he's been all night tonight on this final drive.
For the game, he's 16 for 27 for 186. They had the highlight reel touchdown earlier in this quarter on the run on a 4th down play when they decided to forego a field goal that would have given them a 6-point lead. 24-21, 2-minute stoppage, 1st down and 10 for Indiana at the Miami 23. The Canes do have all 3 timeouts, and absolutely essential that they get a stop here and force a field goal attempt if Kurt Cignetti elects to do that, should they get the 4th down.
Yeah, and I would think the next couple plays, anticipating runs behind the left side of this offensive line. That's your bell cow. Carter Smith, the left tackle, outstanding. Drew Evans as well. Pat Coogan at center. The left side of the offensive line has really been up to the task in the run game most of the night tonight. So to try to put the game on ice, I'd lean on that side of the ball.
Indiana already with the school record 15 wins, shattering the mark of 11 last year. They've had 2 double-figure win seasons in school history, each of them in the last 2 years. Matter of fact, 26 wins in a 2-year span is 10 more than they've ever had in any 2-year span in their history. And trying to go undefeated 50 years after the last undefeated college basketball national championship, the Indiana Hoosiers 32-0 under Bob Knight. That would be some interesting synergy. They become a football school.
Yeah, they have. They are awesome, man. What a great team. And I mean, the response and the heart and the poise on this drive has been nothing short of remarkable.
They haven't had many close games, but they've won 3 by single digits, and they had to make plays late in all of them. At Iowa, they won by 5. Penn State, the dramatic touchdown catch by Cooper in the back line of the end zone to win by 3. They beat Ohio State by 3 in the Big Ten championship game. The other 12 wins have all been by double figures. Miami's given them everything they can handle tonight. Out of the timeout, the ball's in the right hash mark. It's at the 23-yard line. 1st down and 10. The handoff through a big hole. Goes Hemby to the right. He's very near another 1st down. They're going to mark him down about a yard short, and Miami will use the timeout. And it might be a break for Indiana that they didn't get the 1st down on that play, because they could run another play and then pick it up and get a fresh set of downs. 1:54 to go. A 9-yard run for Hemby, who's now rushed for 59 yards. He and Black, that great duo, have combined to rush for 137 yards tonight. And Charlie Becker, the big catch. 4 receptions in the first 7 games. He didn't have any last year as a freshman. And now 26 catches over the last 8 games. Got the opportunity when Surratt was injured against Penn State and Wisconsin, and he literally has run with it.
Yeah, to think that he was such an afterthought for so long, and the emergence against Penn State and the way he's just built on it, performance after performance on the back shoulder catches, 2 massive back shoulder catches in this matchup. But he did it against Ohio State, putting the game on ice on 3rd down behind the defense. He has been so clutch throughout this incredible run.
Great size, he's 6'4", 210. Great hands, terrific athlete. He was a state hurdle champion in Tennessee in high school. Averages more than 20 yards per catch. He's the fastest guy among the receiving corps. Carson Beck with his hands over his eyes on the sideline. And now his hands clasped almost as if he's in prayer on the sideline. 1:56 to go, 2nd and 1 Indiana. They're leading by 3 in the national championship game. They're at the 14-yard line. There's a flag before the snap. It was a handoff to Roman Hemby. And it looks like it's going to be the rare penalty against Indiana.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 65, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's the third Indiana penalty, and it's against Carter Smith, their outstanding left tackle, the Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, and a second-team AP All-American.
And that's just a backbreaker, too. I mean, second and short, now obviously much more difficult circumstances at 2nd and 6.
Mendoza's in the shotgun where they risk a throw to stop the clock on an incompletion. He doesn't throw many of those. Becker comes in motion left to right. It's a handoff to Hemby straight ahead. He's across the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. Driven back after a 1-yard gain. Ahmad Moulton Sr.'s had a mammoth night in the middle of that Miami defensive line, made another tackle. So here's yet another big third down on this drive. Curt Cignetti's team has converted on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 5, and this will be another 3rd and 5.
Yeah, and just goes back to the enormity of that false start, because that would have been a 1st and 10 had that false start not gone down. But here on a 3rd and 5, you just got burned 2nd to go with the quarterback draw. You know those guys are going to be thinking about that play. They got burned early in the first half on 2 handoffs right up the middle to convert on 3rd and medium situations like this, and they've also gotten burned on the back shoulder. So a lot to think about here. But I'm trusting Mendoza with his legs in a scenario like this.
Have you ever seen a team that throws the back shoulder better than this one? I mean, Mendoza puts it in the right place all the time. When it's a little errant, these guys make highlight reel catches.
Not in college. NFL, Drew Brees might have something to say about it, but he's about the only one that had that kind of effectiveness.
Fernando Mendoza runs back to the huddle after chatting with Curt Cignetti on the sideline. 3rd down and 5, 1:51 to go. Indiana leading 24-21. They're at the Miami 18. They're in the pistol. Black directly behind Mendoza. 2 receivers to the left. It's a handoff to Black, running left. Cuts it inside and gets stopped short of the first down. He got just to the line of scrimmage, and that's about all. A very quick timeout called by Mario Cristobal. So now what does Curt Cignetti do? Not long ago, with a 3-point lead, facing 4th down, they decide to bypass the short field goal, and Fernando Mendoza turned in the touchdown run. That's the play of the night. What do you think he'll do here? He has Radicic on the field already.
I'd kick it. I mean, you're right in the middle.
Make Miami go the length of the field with no timeouts.
Exactly. I think you've got to kick it here. Pass rush has been somewhat quiet tonight. They haven't been able to get home, but the coverage has been pretty good when they've played aggressively. Last drive, they got a little too conservative. I think they'll play a little more aggressive in this upcoming offensive drive, but I like the field goal call here.
So here's Radicic, who's almost automatic from inside 40 yards. He's attempted 1 field goal tonight and made it from 34. This to give them a 6-point lead. There's a minute 47 to go. This is a 35-yard try right in the middle of the field. Couldn't be more equidistant between the hash marks. Snap and hold are good. The kick is right down the middle. And it's a 6-point lead for Indiana. But there is hope for the Miami Hurricanes. And you don't have to think very far back to the 15-play touchdown drive engineered by Carson Beck to bring them from behind to beat Ole Miss. And it was Beck who scored the game-winning touchdown with 18 seconds to go on a 3-yard run.
Yeah, and this is where you really need your pass rushers to step up. Mikal Kamara, he needs to be big in this game. In a perfect situation, you would have Stephen Daly, but who of course has not been available. Kellen Wyatt's been out as well, so it's going to come down to Landino and Dukwe and Kamara to apply that pressure. They've only sacked Carson Beck once tonight. Can they get home and get Miami feeling the pressure?
They have Quinn Warren on to kick off now. He took over as the kickoff man when Frankie was hurt. Frankie's kicks ordinarily touchbacks when he's healthy. He hasn't been bombing them in the end zone tonight, so it's Warren to kick off from left to right. And another good decision by Curt Cignetti as that one lands in the middle of the end zone, and Karams through the back of the end zone over the head of Keelan Marion. So in his final moments as a college player, after up and down ride through 6 years in college football. What does Carson Beck have in store?
Just got to get the drive started. The 2-minute drill, you know exactly what you need. You need a touchdown. You got no timeouts. Got to go the distance, boys. You got 4 downs to get it. Don't sweat it. Can't take a sack, and you must try to create positive yards on the first play of the drive. By far the most important play of the drive.
Ball right between the hash marks, perhaps slightly closer to the left. Fletcher, the running back, on the right hip of Carson Beck, is out of the gun. 3 receivers, 2 tight to the left. They send Marion in motion to the right. There's a flag down, thrown by the back judge. Did they take too much time? My goodness, they did. A delay of game penalty.
Offense, 5-yard penalty.
On the first play of the possession, Mario Cristobal upset. He just ripped his headset off, and he's letting the official right in front of him on the sideline have it. He was gesturing as if he thought they should have reset the play clock. He also might have damaged his headset as somebody on the sidelines doing some work to it. Not the way you want to start. A 5-yard penalty. It's 1st and 15 from the 20. 1:42 to go. 4th quarter in this championship game. Indiana leads by 6. Beck takes a shotgun snap. He's under pressure. He flips it forward as it gets knocked to the ground. It's incomplete in the direction of Alex Bauman. They did not blow a whistle for an incomplete pass. Some wondering if it's a fumble. And now they say it's an incomplete pass. It was Tyreek Tucker who hit Beck as he tried to scramble forward into his left, and he just shot-putted it forward, shoveled it to get rid of it, and stop the clock and avoid a loss.
And the pocket's been very clean. That was only the first time he was nearly sacked since the 3rd possession, so they got to hold up better up front to give these receivers time.
2nd and 15, 1:36 to go. Miami, its own 20, needs to go 80 yards. Tony goes in motion to the left. Beck takes a shotgun snap. 4-man rush. He sets and fires behind C.J. Daniels along the far hash marks. And there's a flag down. Beck got hit, and he's still down. And there are a couple Indiana defenders who think this is going to be roughing the passer, and it is.
Number 97. Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And again, the rare self-inflicted wound for Indiana. Mario Landino, the defensive tackle, hit Beck after he delivered the ball. Basically lowered his helmet right into the number 11 on Carson's chest.
Looked like it was just a little bit late. I felt like it was kind of bang bang, but after you watch it again, I do think that was the correct call.
Matt Austin, our refereeing expert, did not think that should have been called. Really wasn't all that late. Marty Brown, the running back now. He stayed in the block. Now he leaks out into the flat. He catches a pass. He's across the 40. He's across the 45 and dives ahead near the 47-yard line. So the penalties a factor on this last drive. They got 11 yards on that play and a first down. Miami at its own 46, needing 54 more. Beck on first down, drops back, fires, caught by Tony. Nifty catch on a high throw above his head. He caught it at the Indiana 47-yard line for a short gain, and the clock's running. They place the ball down on the left hash mark, a gain of 7, 2nd and 3. 1 minute to go in the national championship game. Beck a shotgun snap, far side throw. Daniels tackled in a big play because it was made inbound. Jamari Sharp made the tackle. They got a first down to the 41, but Daniels couldn't get to the boundary. They stopped the clock for just a moment to move the chains, and now it's winding. 49 seconds to go, and a timeout call by Indiana. Kurt Signetti, with his defense reeling, is going to use his last timeout. And we've seen him do that a few times, including in the last game against Oregon, when Oregon was marching right down the field on their second possession of the game. He used a timeout to try to settle in the defense.
Yeah, settle them down. Make sure your pass rushers get a quick breather, because you know they're going to have to pursue with relentless pursuit from this point forward, because he's now out of timeout. So slow things down, stop the bleeding. But for Miami now, you can call 2 plays. If you're on the sideline, say, hey, we got 2 plays now. I'm going to call them. We'll run this one first, then the next one, assuming he's tackled in bounds. Out of bounds or incomplete, all good. We'll get back in the huddle and dial it up. But this does allow the offense to reset as well.
The ball's at the 41-yard line of Indiana. Miami's moved the ball 34 yards. They were held by the roughing the passer penalty, which was questionable. Carson Beck, 8 career wins between Georgia and Miami when trailing in the fourth quarter, including the last game against Ole Miss. Marty Brown remains the running back. No Fletcher on the field. 2 receivers to the right of Beck in the boundary. On first down and 10, shotgun snap. He's under pressure. He throws, and it is intercepted at the near 15-yard line. Jamari Sharp with the interception. And Indiana's going to win the national championship. On the first turnover of this game, Jamari Sharp. There is a flag down on the play. The Indiana fans are going crazy. Jamari Sharp, a Miami native, grew up right here out of Northwestern High School. We mentioned it earlier. His uncle Glenn played for the Miami Hurricanes. Here's the announcement.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 22, defense. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal. His first down, Indiana.
So it's on Sharp. They bring the ball back 3 yards. Jamari Sharp's uncle Glenn was the Miami player called for the very controversial pass interference penalty in overtime in the national championship game against Ohio State. On what Miami thought was the last play of the game, and they won the national championship. The game continued, and Ohio State won it. So now it's Jamari Sharp in this national championship game against Miami with the interception.
He had tremendous eyes the whole time. Carson Beck got a little bit fooled. A safety over the top, Sharp underneath, and he reads it out and makes the play.
Now they're in victory formation. They don't have a lot of room. Mendoza under center takes a knee. Miami cannot stop it. There's 38 seconds on the play clock, and it's 2-second difference. 33 on the game clock and 31 on the play clock, so they have to snap it one more time. And then Indiana is going to be a national champion in football for the first time in school history. When Kurt Cignetti got there 2 years ago, they were the all-time losingest program in major college football. Now they're going to be an undefeated national champ. Mendoza took the snap. He was on the goal line, so had to lunge forward. He did, and the celebration begins. Kurt Cignetti has led the Indiana Hoosiers to the national championship in one of the great coaching jobs of all time, in one of the great turnarounds in American sports history. The Indiana Hoosiers are football national champions. In the first 16-0 season in major college football since 1894, when Yale went 16-0. The same Yale that Fernando Mendoza thought he was heading to out of high school, when at the last minute he got a scholarship offer to Cal, and that started him on the path through this historic college football career.
And that game was about as blueprint of an Indiana game as you'll ever see. Doing it on offense by pounding away, clutch drive at the very end to get a touchdown, take time off the clock, get 3 more points to give you a little more cushion. They did it on defense with a late interception, one of the best turnover forcing teams in the country. They make the play, and they did it on special teams. I can honestly say this, Sean, now that the confetti is falling and it's crimson and cream, this is one of the best teams I have ever seen.
Well,
the way they complement each other.
Never mind the turnaround, which got so much attention, because it is remarkable and obviously aided by the transfer portal and the ability to bring in lots of talent very quickly to change the complexion of your program. But you have to identify the right people. You have to spend that NIL money well. And Kurt Cignetti and his staff, I don't know how you could manage a program in every facet of it any better than they have, or even as well.
Yeah,
it is historic by so many standards.
Creating such a culture of competition, guys with chips on the shoulder. It's been documented. Only 8 4-star players. Who cares? Just watch them play. And to see how they complement each other, to see how they play together as a team, the selflessness that's always on display, it's truly remarkable, and they are clutch too. When they gotta have it, They seem to always make the play. Just a tremendous champion that we'll crown here in 2026.
Confetti still flying through the air on this very comfortable night in South Florida. They're starting to arrange the stage in the far end zone to our right. Final score is 27-21 Indiana. Here's Quint Kesnick.
Hold on, he's Coach Signetti getting a huge hug from his family, 5 of them, his wife and direct family. If I can, big kisses, big kisses. We're being doused by confetti, red and white confetti here at the logo. Coach Signetti, congratulations. Congratulations, Coach. How do you describe the emotion as you hug your family?
I don't think it's sunk in. What a gutty game, both teams. We found a way. We're national champs. Wow. What a great group of guys, great competitors, never flinched. Wasn't perfect, but definitely wasn't perfect.
What were you thinking, Coach? 4th down and 5, quarterback draw call?
I called the play. I mean, we needed something. They were in the coverage the play before. That play would have worked. And we put that play in for this game. We blocked it different than we normally do because of backer tilt. And they were in the coverage play before. We rolled the dice. They were in it again. We blocked it well. We broke a tackle. And the other 4th downs, great throws, back shoulder to the field. And we finally could give the quarterback a chance to hit his, 5th step, take a hitch and throw the ball when we kept 8 men in, 7 men in and slid left because, we couldn't protect.
16-0, Yale back in the 1800s. You remember them, perhaps?
Yale Bulldogs, Carmen Koza.
How do you, when you took the job, was this moment ever a potential?
I never really thought this far ahead, just because of all the work that needed done when I stepped on campus. 10 offensive starters in the portal, I didn't know that. Down to 40 scholarships the 3rd day. And we had a lot of work to do. We got on a roll year 1. That team's a special team too. They got started. This team took it a step further. So we're going to enjoy tonight.
Enjoy the cold beer, Coach. Congratulations. Swing things over to Ian.
Quint, I'm here with Fernando Mendoza. Fernando, 1 scholarly offer to Yale. Now you're a Heisman winner and you're a national champion, and it's all about the guys next to you. I know, give yourself a moment. I know you got tears coming down, man. Sum it up.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to give all the glory to God. This is the most special moment in my life and all the teammates' life and the coach's life. What a pinnacle of great guys coming together. No one thought we could do it, especially at the beginning of the year. Everybody was like, Indiana, Cinderella story. Well, this is one hell of a fucking Cinderella. Oh, excuse my language. This is one of the hell of a flipping Cinderella story we got here. And just so proud of my guys. And hallelujah, thank God.
The 4th down, where the field goal unit's coming on, and then all of a sudden Coach Signetti goes, no, we're going for it, and you run it in for a touchdown. Take us on the field. What was that moment like?
We wouldn't want it any other way. We're always going to lay it on the line. We're always going to put our best foot forward, and that's why spirit of the end zone. I know any of my teammates, they have the ball, they have spirit of the end zone, put their body in the line, because we want to win. We want to win for each other, we want to win for God, and we want to win for all of us collectively. And I would die for my teammates out there, and they would do the same for myself, and it's just such a special moment with us. 4th down, putting it all on the line, let's go. Let's fucking go. 4th down, let's go dive in the end zone and win the game.
As far as this team, if there's something America needs to know about this squad, what is it?
It's a special squad. If you have optimism in yourself and positive belief, no matter if you're too small, too big, or too whatever, you could do it. You need to have self-belief in yourself, and then God will prosper. And if you have special ones around you like we do, it would all prosper and it'll work out in the end.
You're a national champion. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. God bless.
Quint.
Riley Nowakowski scored Indiana's first touchdown, the fullback. How do you explain this scene, Riley? How do you best describe it?
I mean, it's pandemonium, man. It's huge for the community. It's huge for all the players, man. Just know all the work we put in, all we to this point, man. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
How do you best characterize the last 2 years for Indiana and this season in particular, a perfect 16-0?
It's a lot of grit, a lot of hard work, man. we're not the most athletic team out there. You know, we're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, but you know, we know what to do. We give great effort every single play, man, and that's what pushes us over the edge.
Did you get a good view of Fernando Mendoza's touchdown on the draw?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, Nando's had some ball security issues, so you know, I was a nervous wreck watching that. I'm following. I started running, chasing. I mean, what a Heisman moment, man. National championship, spin move, dive for the touchdown. I mean, that was electric.
How would you characterize the fan support?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, this was. I mean, sorry, more IU fans than Miami fans than we in Miami. You know what I mean? All they gotta do is drive down the road. We're traveling, you know, 1,000 miles. You know, we always got our support.
Congratulations, Riley. Swing things over to Ian.
I'm here with D'Angelo Pons, first-team All-American, defensive MVP of the Rose, defensive MVP of the Peach, and now you're a national champion. D'Angelo, sum it up. What's this moment like?
Well, words can't describe what I'm feeling right now. It's a dream come true for me, something I always dreamed of. In my hometown, it's just a blessing to have the opportunity and take full advantage of it. I feel like a lot of kids dream of this moment, and I'm in it, so I'm just blessed.
When did you realize that this game had switched, that you were going to be a national champion?
Honestly, our first playoff game, I would say, I knew we had something special. I knew if we stuck to it and kept working and trying to get better, we would have a chance to win a national championship.
Sum up your coach, Curt Cignetti. In 2 years, he's transformed a losing his program in D1 history to now a national title team. Go ahead, describe your head coach.
That guy's probably the best coach in America. Behind Saban is him, in my opinion. I would say he's one of the greatest coaches, just learning from him. Not even how he coaches his players, how he coaches his coaches as well. And he keeps the same standard. I feel like that's what got us here.
Congratulations, my man.
Thank you.
Sean?
All right. I think of all the unlikely, somewhat miraculous things that have happened over the last 2 years, including the turnaround from losing his program to national championship. I'm more stunned by 2 Fernando Mendoza F-bombs in the post-game interview. But I
did not see that coming.
No, did not see that coming. But I think raw emotion, which he shared with all of us. Greg, it's time for our big Monster Energy play of the game.
It has to be Fernando Mendoza in the quarterback draw. I mean, one of the great plays in college football playoff history, the guts of actually calling it, the thrill of executing it when Miami defended it quite well. And to see the 2 guys that were brought in as key cogs of their transfer portal class, Pat Coogan, the center, and Fernando Mendoza, their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, for Coogan to secure the key block and Mendoza to break off of him is poetic, I think, in the way it was finished out and the way he drove. The guy's going to be the #1 pick in the draft and put his body on the line as he's crossing the goal line to give his team a huge lead. Just shows you what he means to this team, what he's willing to do for this team, and the opportunistic nature that they played with all season long.
Yeah, it was a 12-yard run with 9:18 to go when they decided to forego a short field goal. It gave them a 24-14 lead. Credit to Miami. They went right down the field and scored to make it 24-21. Radicic kicked a late field goal to make it 27-21 Indiana. And then with Miami on the move, Carson Beck trying to lead another touchdown drive. The interception by Jamari Sharp. You talk about the symmetry in that. I don't know what the right word is. The nephew of a player involved in a huge controversy the last time Miami was playing for a national championship. Mendoza in the game, 16 for 27 for 186. He did not throw a touchdown pass. His long completion was only 25. He had some nice catches made by his receivers, particularly Charlie Becker. And of course, he had the rushing touchdown, which was the signature play of the game. He is the big Monster Energy player of the game. Brought to us by Big Monster Energy, ready to take it to the next level and unleash the beast this college tailgate season with Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. Fernando Mendoza, by the way, is the first player to win the Heisman and the national championship in the same year since Devontae Smith in 2020, the great Alabama wide receiver, and the first quarterback to do it since Joe Burrow in 2019. And when we try to put this championship in perspective, that we talked about this during the semifinal on television when they routed Oregon the comparisons to that team, I didn't think we'd see another team like that 2019 team for LSU for a long time. You know, this Indiana team doesn't have the same headliner, obvious NFL draft choices.
Right.
But are they every bit as good a team, if not better?
I think that's what makes them more – that's what I love most about them, I think, is that there's not some individual transcendent talent outside of Fernando Mendoza. They are truly a team. And it's offense, it's defense, it's special teams, it's starters playing on special teams. It's guys that came from James Madison getting a key blocked punt on a year, Mikhail Kamara. When his sack numbers were down, he didn't have the year he probably wanted to have, but it didn't matter because on the biggest stage, one of the biggest moments of the game, he blocks a punt, leads to a big touchdown to kind of energize this fan base. And I think it's just they're a team. So while they might not have the star power of the LSU team in 2019, collectively, it's hard to look beyond this Indiana Hoosier team.
And Fernando Mendoza, we should add, is probably going to have, almost certainly going to have the trifecta: Heisman, National Championship, and #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. He will be the 6th person to do that. The great Reese Davis is on the podium. They're about to present the National Championship trophy to Curt Cignetti. You don't have to Google him anymore. Everybody knows he wins. And he wins a lot. He's 27-2 in 2 years as the Indiana coach. It seems unfathomable to say that when you think about the history and his terrific Hoosier team all around him as the confetti continues to fly. And these Indiana fans who have traveled again in huge numbers, celebrating every moment of this one. Some final thoughts.
Just incredible. I mean, and it was such a gutsy, Curt Cignetti hit the nail on the head. This was a gutsy performance. Fernando Mendoza did not have his best stuff. The team in general did not have their best stuff. They had some uncharacteristic mistakes, some uncharacteristic penalties, and yet they persevered. They made the plays when they had to make the plays. And
both teams did, but it came down to one mistake, and who knows, Miami was still up against it on that last drive. But the only turnover of the game, and unfortunately that will stick with Carson Beck, right? There was some say, he can't make the play to win the game. He thought he had shed that, at least in part, in the win against Ole Miss. Now the interception at the end of the game. And meanwhile, Greg, Indiana, 3 games in this playoff, not a single turnover.
None.
Remarkable. Against some of the best teams in the country.
And some of the most opportunistic teams as well. I think it's just they're so well coached. They're a well-oiled machine. To think Miami is a really good football team, a really physical football team, a difficult matchup for everyone that you play. And Miami played pretty well at times, especially in the second half. Indiana had their B-plus game tonight by their standards, and yet it was still good enough, which tells you just how capable this team is. Regardless of which avenue the game takes in pursuit to victory, they can go 1,000 different ways and still end up at the same result. That's the definition of a well-coached football team that executes at a ridiculous level.
Well, a very fitting ending to this college football season for us. It began here on August 31st with that very important Miami-Notre Dame game. Miami wanted to end the season here, and they did. It just didn't go the way that they did. And Indiana, the story of college football, jumped onto the national stage last year with their 11-win season appearance in the college football playoff, and they have captivated the spotlight and then some with an historic 16-0 season and the first national championship in football in school history, the 3rd in a row for the Big Ten Conference. Once again, our final score, Indiana 27, Miami 21. For Greg McElroy, Ian Fitzsimmons, and Quint Kesselnick, for our producer John Medani, our spotter Zach Rapatrazone, statistician Mike Swanson, engineers Al Rosenberg and Dave Schiff, we thank them all. They're the best at what they do. Sean McDonough saying good night from Miami Gardens, Florida. Now here's Mark Kestisher in the studio with the postgame show.
Sean, Greg, great season as always, and capping it with that Indiana win. And to amplify on Sean's point, the Indiana Hoosiers been playing college football since 1899. That 11-win season Sean spoke about last year, the Hoosiers had never won 10 games in a season until last year's 11, and they come back with a 16-0 perfect season, and the Indiana Hoosiers, the best in college football, 27-21 the final over Miami. The college football postgame show is presented by Venmo. Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card. Rep your team with every tap. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Kelly Stauffer will join me from Hard Rock Stadium. We'll go through the highlights and more of this Indiana Hoosiers championship win, 27-21 the final over Miami in Miami. This is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram.
Blood sugar? What are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is the College Football Playoff National Championship, presented by AT&T on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
College Football Live postgame. It is presented by Venmo. The Indiana Hoosiers, for the first time ever, national champions, beating Miami. Mark Kestisher, Kelly Stauffer with you, and what an exciting second half it was. Indiana had the 10-0 lead at halftime. Let's go through that second half now with Kelly, and our game flow is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit Progressive.com. And Kelly, the last time we were talking to you, we talked about what Miami had to do in the second half. They certainly needed a stop to begin the third quarter, and they got that.
Roman Hemby, the running back, out of the gun. Back to pass. Mendoza pressured from behind and sacked. Reuben Bain ran him down as Mendoza tried to escape to the far sideline. And a sack back at the 30-yard line for a loss of 8.
So the first Indiana series was a punt, and then Mark Fletcher delivering the goods for the Canes.
It's a handoff, running right to Fletcher. Has room outside. He may go inside the 30 of Indiana. He'll go all the way. Touchdown, Fletcher. A quick hop off right tackle. He bounced it out to the outside, and he never got touched. A 57-yard run.
Kelly, that's exactly what Miami wanted to draw up. They got a defensive stop, and then they finally got the run going.
Yeah, Kesty, they got the start to the second half that they were looking for, and we talked about that. Miami's always going to run the football, or want to, with Mario Cristobal, but they got outside on the edge like we talked about as an adjustment, and Fletcher was able to take that to the house. But certainly the start that Miami needed to make this a game in the second half.
And then they got a little bit of a break on that next Indiana series on a third down play, a pass play to Elijah Surratt. He had it, but he bobbled it, and then Monterey did a nice job to knock it away last second. So Indiana had to punt again, and later in the third quarter, I think Malachi Toney's decision to field the Indiana punt inside the 10, actually inside the 5-yard line, that set up a bad series for Miami right there.
Yeah, I think that was the start of a difficult stretch for Miami. That momentum that they got to begin the half was kind of going away. They were in the hole for quite some time, field position-wise, and that really started to, to mount up a little bit, and ultimately that's where they ended up getting that block punt because they were still backed up in that situation.
Yeah, let's get to that punt because by fielding it at the 4, they end up 4th and 1 at the 16-yard line and trying to punt it away.
Jonathan Brady back deep, and punt is blocked. It's going to be blocked for a touchdown. Mikhail Kamara blocked it, and it's recovered in the end zone by Isaiah Jones. An Indiana touchdown. And it is 16-7. And now it's the Hoosier fans going crazy.
You know, Kelly, we didn't have a turnover till the very end of the game. That technically is not a turnover, but it acts as such as Indiana got the punt and got the score there to go up 10.
Yeah, and Kesty, consider how that all played out. We end up with a 27-21 score with Miami having the ball in their hands before they ended up turning the ball over. But we had a missed field goal in that first half off the upright that was pushed by Carter Davis from the beginning, and that block punt. You think about that. It's about executing situational football, and ultimately Miami could not do that as well as Indiana did.
So Indiana goes up 10 on that mistake, and you're thinking that could be it. But Hurricanes drive late third quarter, got down to the Indiana 3-yard line. First play of the fourth quarter, Fletcher, 3-yard touchdown. Canes right back in it. Indiana's lead is 17-14. And then the critical Indiana drive after that. A couple of big fourth downs. Hoosiers got it down to the Hurricane 37-yard line. This was the first fourth down play on 4th and 5.
They do snap it. Mendoza out of the gun. Sets, throws to the near sideline, and it is caught. Charlie Becker inside the 20-yard line. With a back shoulder throw, another mammoth catch by the sophomore from Nashville. On 4th and 5, they get 21.
Kelly, we can't speak enough about, obviously, Mendoza's season, but Charlie Becker, late in the year and really all year, has been such a dangerous receiver for him.
Remember how ultimately the Indiana offense discovered Charlie Becker. Elijah Surratt was injured during Penn State, and so Charlie Becker had to play a prominent role in that, what was ultimately a comeback win that kind of set the tone for the season for Indiana. And Becker came up huge in that game, and then it became a three-headed monster in the receiving group with Omar Cooper along with obviously Surratt, but Charlie Baker. And Charlie Baker makes some of the most amazing back shoulder throw catches that you'll ever see.
So that kept the drive alive. And then fourth down again. It was 4th and 4 later in the drive at the Miami 12-yard line. And it looked like Curt Cignetti waited a little bit too long to decide, am I going to kick the field goal? Am I going to go for it? He had to burn a timeout. We're thinking maybe they're going to go field goal. But nope. Mendoza and the offense come back out of the field. This is our getting-it-done play of the game.
Mendoza's in the gun. The ball's on the 13-yard line. He's clapping as if they're going to snap it. They do snap it. He takes off running on a design quarterback draw. He has the first down. He spins into the end zone. What a play by Mendoza. And what a call. It was a design run. He bounced off a couple of hits. Looked like he was going to get the first down. He wasn't satisfied. It's another highlight reel play for Mendoza.
Our Getting It Done play of the game brought to you by Grainger. With professional-grade products for every industry, Grainger has you covered. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Kelly, in a season of amazing plays, how do you describe what he just did right there?
Well, I first want to describe the decision by Curt Cignetti to go for it on 4th and 5 two different times and then call the quarterback draw on that 4th and 5 right there. And he talked about it in the postgame, I think being interviewed by Ian Fitzsimmons or Quint Kestic, but they put in that draw, blocking it a certain way against a certain defense that they got the play before. He didn't call the draw, so now it's 4th and 5, and he said, you know what? We just have to roll the dice and hope we get that defense again. And they called the draw, they got that defense, and ultimately the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza, ended up in the end zone. And you can write that down as Cignetti swagger. He started with that swagger in his first press conference and taking the job at Indiana, and he's maintained that mentality, and you saw it in bucketfuls on that series right there and that draw call in particular.
It's going to be the signature play, whether it's Sean's call or the television call. The 7th touchdown run of the year for Fernando Mendoza, his first since a game at Purdue on November 28th. So we weren't done there. Indiana had a 10-point lead. Carson Beck had a 22-yard touchdown pass to Malachi Tony, who, by the way, capped off an amazing freshman season. Miami holds Indiana to a 35-yard field goal with 1:42 to go. Kelly, it's a 6-point game. We were in the desert about 10 days ago when you give Carson Beck the football, and they had a chance, right, on his hands. Of course, it starts with a delay of game, and Indiana also had a big penalty in that series as well, aided by a roughing call. But our defender of the game, this is how Indiana would ice it.
On first down and 10, shotgun snap. He's under pressure. He throws, and it is intercepted at the near 15-yard line. Jamari Sharp with the interception. And Indiana's going to win the national championship.
What a way to close it out. Our defender of the game, Jamari Sharp, brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. And it wasn't just that INT for you, which won him that award.
No, it was the INT. It was 6 tackles, 5 of which were solos. And remember where he plays. He plays outside in the corner position. So a lot of times when a guy like Jamari Sharp is making a tackle, it's saving yards after contact or yards after the catch. And he really exemplifies the holistic kind of team effort that Indiana is known for defensively. They seem to always be in the right place at the right time, having their eyes in the right position, and that's exactly what got Jamari Sharp that interception to end this game.
27-21 the final. By the way, for Sharp, you mentioned the son of a hurricane, Glenn Sharp, who played for Miami back in the year they thought they were going to go back-to-back championships, 2000, 2001, the 34-game win streak ending. But the Hoosiers get their first championship, 27-21, an absolute dream season at 16-0. Still to come on the College Football Live postgame show, more from Kelly Stauffer. We're going to try to place where this Hoosiers team kind of fits in the pantheon and where do they go from here. I mean, an amazing 2-year turnaround under Kurt Cignetti. We'll talk about maybe what's up next for Indiana and wrap up this college football season. Coming up next, this is the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T.